All right, we'll see what happens now. As I start this again, try to do something a bit different earlier, but apparently YouTube or whatever didn't like that, so trying this yet again. I tried to have it where I was looking at the TV while I was playing a game because I want to do something a bit different, but then it got is better. Well, thanks for letting me do it, DJ. I appreciate it. Apparently, YouTube won't let me do anything different. And Dark Metal Spider, I can't reset a modem. This is a phone, and it's based on the phone plan, so there's no modem to reset. But I appreciate the thought, though. Hey there, Josh. See, I wanted to have some in the background so you guys have something to look at, but YouTube didn't want me to do it, and whatever the hell, StreamYard didn't want me to do it, so I guess I'll do it the old simple way. That seems to be the thing with me. Anytime I want to try to do something a bit unique, I either have YouTube or StreamYard or someone else just get in my way, and then people complain, why don't you try to do something different? Well, I do try to do something different. It's like, no matter what I do, it doesn't matter. Um, hey there, Don. Simpsons renewed for 2 more seasons. Big surprise. I mean, what? Whatever. I mean, I don't even think about The Simpsons like most people. I think most people don't realize they're still on. Rapid Kirby, hello there. I just frustrating when you want to try to be a bit more creative, and again, either YouTube or streaming or whatever stops you. Just infuriating. But it is what it is. Hey there, Joe. Thanks for stopping by the stream on the when I was with the Uncle Bill and Dead Pit. I couldn't really see the stream because when someone else is hosting, I don't really see the stream. Like I see the stream on the phone when I'm hosting. Yeah, I'm using the phone net. It's fine. It's the only way I could use it because the actual internet is satellite internet, and there is no other one than satellite internet, and you can't stream with satellite internet. Just how it is. So I have to use the phone. Hey, True Fire. Hello there. Hello to everyone. Hope you're doing well on this Friday night. I figure there'll be a lot of busyness going on. A lot of people playing the Dead Space remake and streaming that. Good guy Civil Wings, he's streaming the GoldenEye N64. Uh, thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. The guys at Deadpad know later on they're going to do the Royal Rumble 2003. Peter Wells coming to your convention. Cool. Congrats on that. Good luck on beating him or whatever you're going to do. So good luck with that. But that's pretty cool. What's the name of the convention? Because I mean I don't know where yet. I've heard of the Super Mario Bros. Work print. I know of the details. Like the one guy gets pretty much decomposed into goo. Yeah, I can see that, Rapper Kirby. Forest Hills, don't know anything about that. Hey there, Ron. Fan Expo Vancouver, cool. Vancouver, Canada? Because I have a friend that lives in Vancouver, Washington, so I have to like which I'm guessing Vancouver, Canada. No, I was playing the Callisto Protocol. I was playing that again because the new game plus came out and my old save was deleted. So I wanted to replay it and beat it so that I can get into the new game plus, but YouTube and streaming didn't want that, so oh well. I liked the menu. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 movie, but Creepshow video game, I guess it could work. I don't really know what you would do in a video game though of Creep Show, because you don't really fight enemies and stuff in that. Yeah, apparently if I try to do something different, YouTube doesn't like it, so I guess I'll go back to the same old, same old. Because I wanted to have something in the background for you guys to watch and while I'm playing a game, so it's not just staring at my face, but whatever. Derek, I would ask how. How do you mean? But yeah, but I figure a lot of people will be pretty busy because it's Friday night. I'm on other stuff going on with everybody else. They're either busy with their own streams, their own stuff going on, things of that nature. So, Destroyer, it's okay. From 1988, it's all right. Yeah, I don't love the film, but it's at least a time waster. I mean, I like the horror show and Shocker more. Um, I don't care about Mia Goth, so why should she be nominated is the question. I mean, I don't give a crap about Mia Goth. I mean, I'm indifferent on the Mario Brothers movie coming out. I've never seen the show Psych. I know what it is. I've seen clips of it, but I've never seen the actual show, so I can't really picture that. I think Mia Goth is the girl that was in X, and then the prequel Pearl. That's Mia Goth, and I didn't give a crap about X. No, that's no problem, Derek. The Awesome God, hello there. That's cool, Derek. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm not an expert at video games, but I do enjoy at least the older stuff quite a bit. Yes, I've seen Kingpin. Halloween Ends sucked. I mean, I'm sorry, Halloween Ends sucked. Doesn't matter how different or same it is. A movie's bad if a movie's bad, and that movie was bad. I don't have a favorite episode, but I would say the first season, Millennium, is the best. Metal Gear Solid, the first one, I love it. I have the video game right there. That's really the only one I love. Yes, I've seen Tootsie. I don't know what's going on with the Chris Pratt Mario thing. I don't really care one way or the other. I mean, I like Mario. I like some of those older games, but this new Mario, I don't care either way. I'm completely indifferent on it. No F's are given. Public Enemy 1931. Nope, never seen it. Nah, never seen it. Do I like the movie Meatballs? Yep. Have you played the ones with horror gameplay but great music for video games? Hmm. Horror gameplay but great music. That's the thing, like, I mean, Fester's Quest. Fester's Quest for NES. Great music, but do not like the gameplay at all. That would be my answer. Fester's Quest. Horror gameplay, but great music. DJ Mexicano, hello there. Lost in Translation. I've seen it. Yep, I've seen it. Last of Us, I don't like it as much as other people. It's not a bad game, but I don't care for the gameplay. So I'm not really interested in the show. Oh, thank you, Clark. I appreciate it, man. That's kind of you. Canadian Bacon is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The quality is so poor, like it was made in 85, not 95. To say it was made in 85 would be a compliment. I mean, you got Michael Moore, I think he directed it, and that's not really his forte. His forte is documentaries or however the hell real documentary it is. And yeah, it's a terrible film in terms of the script. It's an unfunny script. The story kind of didn't know where it wanted to go. John Candy was not used to his best ability. The other cast members I didn't really care for. Maybe if the script was fine tuned, maybe you had a different director. I think maybe that could have helped make it better. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Canadian Bacon. That's definitely one of my least favorite John Candy films. Yeah, John Candy went out with Wagons East and Canadian Bacon. That is true. That's pretty bad. Afro, hello there. Thanks for stopping by on the Dead Pit X Files stream. Thank you, man. Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. It's not bad, but there's not enough new content in this to warrant 70 or so dollars. The plot is the same. Yeah, you know what? What's funny that you said that? About, look at the time, three, no, 4 hours ago, I was watching a good guy on here, Anthony, stream the game. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm watching this game be played for like an hour and a half, and it didn't impress me. And I know I'm alone in that. I love the original Dead Space, and everyone in the comments, I didn't want to rain on their parade. They can like it if they want, but I'm like, I don't care for the lighting in the game. I much prefer the lighting in the original game. The lighting, to be honest, makes the whole environments look the same. I know some would say, well, that makes the whole that's understandable because it's supposed to be part of the same ship. But at the same time, I don't want the environments to look the same, like I'm in the same hallway 18 times. Gunner Wright as Isaac sounds tired. He sounds old. Because, I mean, how long has it been since Dead Space 3? 10 years? Maybe less. And it looks fun, but it looks fun because it looks like the first game. It is 95% so far the first game. And here's one little added thing. Here's one little added thing. Um, granted, I haven't played it, but I'm just saying by how I look at it, it's the same game. And, people like, oh my God, no one will ever play the original Dead Space again now. They don't throw away their PlayStation 3s. That was what was happening in the chat. And I disagree with it. And then uh, I kind of left the stream. Anthony's good guy, and they have the right to their opinion. I just like, really? You think no one's ever going to replay Dead Space 1 again, the original, because of the remake? You think no one's ever going to replay this game again? And that they'll just throw it away? I mean, I'll play this. I know other people, I'm sure, will play this. That's like saying, people will throw away Resident Evil 2, the original, because the remake came out. I thought, I don't know, some of the praise, I mean, I don't know. That's an exaggeration. Well, that's what they're being serious about it. But hey, oh well. I'm the asshole that liked Callisto Protocol. So what do I know? Apparently, I'm not the gamer of today. Oh well. Hey everyone, sorry QJC, Blast Radius, Alter Ego. Hello everyone. Um, the movie Dead Space is awful. Texas Chainsaw 3D was an awful film. QJC, hello there. Dead Space remakes is disgraceful. Tell me more, I am Cosmo. I'm very curious. Please tell me more. Didn't see Razor's Edge. Groundhog Day, good movie. Worth a watch. One of Bill Murray's best. Do you hate stereotypes? Depends on what the stereotype is. Well, yeah. Well, everything's made because they need money. Yeah, Castlevania games are tough, but my favorite is Super Castlevania. Yes, TMNT 1990 is a classic. Most disappointing game I played, Dead Space 3. The remake is exactly the same. It's like you're playing the original with a shiny coat of paint. But apparently that's all it took. And it's classic now. Look at all the reviews by everybody on YouTube. The same people that gave the Callisto Protocol a 3 out of 10 and are calling the Dead Space remake an instant classic. And I really enjoyed Callisto Protocol. I stick up for that game. It was something a bit different. I like the melee combat. It's not perfect, but it's not. I don't think it deserved to be thrown under the bus like it did. Had a bad start, I agree, but they fixed a lot of it, and you know, it is what it is. Favorite version of Highlander 2, probably the Renegade cut. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I mean, what can I say? Apparently, I'm alone in that. But now, yeah, everybody's playing the Dead Space remake, and everybody's like giving it a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I mean, yeah, it is the same game. It's just a coat of paint. But that's what people wanted. That's all people needed. Oh well. I like Bring Out the Dead. That's a good movie. Was it Martin Scorsese, I believe, who did that? I did enjoy that. Um, Gal Gadot, no, I just think her acting is bad. That's what I mean by that. Because I don't want to see any more of her poor acting. Tom McGuire wanted to play Spider-Man again. I'm sure they'll do it for the money, and it's going to get a lot of nostalgia money, so they'll do it. See, I'm so out of the gaming circuit. I don't know what Activision did to make them the worst. Remake 300? No. Favorite Nick Cage film? Con Air. Wild Things? Nah, not a fan. Angry Panda? Hello there. It's been a while. I guess Goblins, but I mean, if you say that, you're just, I don't know. You're called whatever. Tobey Maguire was good in Pleasantville. He was fine in that film, Brothers. Just wasn't for me for Spider-Man. Well, Tobey Maguire has done serious films. Like Brothers wasn't that bad of a film with Jake Gyllenhaal. Sean McIntosh, hello. Huge Renegade fan. Never saw Renegade. Never saw the Renegade. I know what it is though. I never saw it. Never saw Renegade. Infinity Pool. Don't know what that is. Frost Nixon. Nah, I didn't see it. R.I.P. Robbie Coltrane. Yes. I mean, survival horror is one of my favorite genres, but I mean, I liked Disaster Report, Jet Li's Rise to Honor, Area 51, Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid, Nick Cage or Tom Cruise. I don't know. It depends. Hey, Uncle Bill, how's it going, man? I know you're getting ready for a few hours for the Royal Rumble 2003. So are you just talking about it? Well, I guess you would have to be, because if you're reacting to it, it'd be like 3 hours. So that'd be interesting. Royal Rumble 2003. I remember that time period. I hope you do well, man. It's great to do the X-Files stuff with you, man. Looking forward to more. No, I've never seen Nuns on the Run. What's cracking? A lot of things. Not much is cracking. No, I don't want to watch Avatar 2. It's 3 hours long. It's a sequel to a movie I don't want to watch. Cop Car, I don't remember that movie. I only ever watched the Rumble and WrestleMania. Yeah, yeah, I don't blame you. There's really not much else for wrestling. So I mean, I think on their channel, Dead Pit, it's like 10:45 p.m. That's pretty late. That's pretty late that you guys do at 10:45 p.m. That means you don't be done by like midnight or something. Um, you know what? Maybe one day you and CK should come over to this channel. I don't know. Watch the Ric Flair Royal Rumble 1992. Someone mentioned that to me, like react to a Royal Rumble. That'd be fun. Because it's actually on YouTube. Someone uploaded the damn thing on YouTube. The WWE actually did. That'd be fun. Just what is it, an hour and so? I haven't seen Puss in Boots, no. Good evening, Emmanuel. I would like to see John Wick 4 in the theater. We'll see. Luke Wilson, I like a bit more than Owen Wilson. Yeah, the Royal Rumble 92 is the best. But you guys have a pretty busy schedule, so it would just be up to you guys. Says I was going to have these guys on here, but that's when the cold freeze decided to go through the entire country. Aragorn, hello there. Yeah, react to a good Royal Rumble. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what? Yeah, that'd be fun. React to the what was the one where everyone booed at the Royal Rumble? Is that the one with Rey Mysterio at the end and everyone booed him? Cool, cool. We'll let that. Now that I got you on Instagram, we'll make it work, man. Make it work. Black Mass I haven't seen. Uh, the Velma. Okay, someone asked about the Velma cartoon. No, I have not been requested the Velma cartoon. But everything I've heard about it sounds like a catastrophe. A catastrophe. 2015. Someone mentioned 2014. Oh, the Royal Rumble. Yeah, 2014. Gotcha. Jesus. Vibes? No, I haven't seen it. I've heard so much about Velma. So, okay, this is what I've heard about Velma, and I'm closing my eyes to remember this. This is what I've heard about that show. It's a Scooby Doo cartoon. on HBO, but it's rated TVMA, where Velma is now South Asian, even though she looks black. Daphne is Asian with two moms. It hates white people. It hates guys. And there's a shower scene with Daphne naked. And it's a TVMA Scooby Doo show with no Scooby Doo, and it's called Velma. Is that about it? Is that about it? No, I looked it up. Well, no, someone looked up and they said apparently Velma's supposed to be South Asian. I'm like, okay. And why is there a Scooby Doo cartoon that's TVMA? And why is Scooby Doo cartoon with no Scooby Doo? And why you have to put this stuff where someone has two moms and all this stuff? I mean, why? 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 Can someone explain that to me? Who's the audience for that? I want someone to explain in the chat. Who's the audience for that movie? Or cartoon, not movie. Who's who is the audience for it? Who? Who is the audience for this? Just who? Sound like an owl. Who? 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 Sound like an owl. Hate watchers. Hey Mike, how you doing? You want to join? You said? Uh, it'll take me a few minutes. But I mean, I didn't. Other than the hate watchers, who's the audience for that Velma cartoon show? Who is the damn audience for it? I didn't watch it, so I didn't give it attention. But it's just confusing that stuff like why do I say it's confusing with stuff like this just made? Look what era we're in. TikTokers. Yes, Velma looks worse because I actually was a Scooby Doo fan. I have a damn Scooby Doo curtain from when I was younger right there. I grew up with that character, and to see the show turn to this BS is ridiculous. I haven't even seen the show yet. Just from hearing it is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let me just wait. Sorry about this, guys. Just 1 second. Hopefully, I typed this in right. Ridiculous. Yeah, I get what you mean, horde films. But horde films, it gets people watching. That's why. And they're right. They're right. Chaz, like people said, is hate watching. They feel that people are hate watching. And I'm like, there are ways to watch it for free. If you really want to do that without giving HBO your pennies. We all know there is. I bet people in the chat know what I'm talking about. If you really, really want to see it, there are ways to watch it.
Hey there. As you can see, like
So we were mentioning this.
I'm red in the face because I'm so, frustrated with all this. Really what it is, it's just my stupid skin thing again. But
You mentioned hate watching.
mhm.
Is that you think that's more and more of a common thing nowadays?
Look at
Hate
how many
watching. If you just
seasons
hate,
Batwoman had. even though
How
that
many did
film
they
was,
have?
I mean, that show, I think it was like 3 seasons or something, and, like, really the only people that were watching that show were people who were hate watching it for YouTube. Um, there was, like, a parody video that someone did on YouTube where they listed out the plan for Velma, and they were like, "We're gonna make it as awful and offensive to fans as possible, so then we can roll out another Scooby-Doo cartoon that is respectful to the source material, and then we'll make all this cash and, get all this praise." The New Coke theory. You know what happened when New Coke came out? And they're like, "New Coke, that sucked ass. That was terrible. They changed it too much. Give us the old Coke." And then the old Coke came back, and then people were back into Coca-Cola.
I don't know if they'd be smart enough to even go for that. I think they're just really that stupid and what's the word I'm looking for? Pig-headed,
Yeah.
stubborn,
Yeah.
stubborn in their
A lot of it,
their.
it's a virtue signaling thing. They're not even doing it for an audience. They're doing it so they can virtue signal, in the case of Mindy Kaling, and so they can just use the platform of this Scooby-Doo show to spread their political mindset and their views. That's what it is. That's what She-Hulk did, and that seems like that's what Velma is doing.
Mindy Kaling, didn't she say something about the fans suck or something
I don't remember reading
recently?
that.
Uh,
I wouldn't be surprised. Matt, we live in the day and age where the fucking CGI M&Ms get canceled and replaced with Maya Rudolph because of bullshit controversies. The M&Ms.
what about the M&Ms?
Tucker Carlson said some nonsense on his show, and M&M's responded by just going nuclear and just completely removing the CGI M&M's spokespeople as like the face of their advertising. And now they're gonna have all these ads with Maya Rudolph, who was in Bridesmaids and so on.
What was his issue with the M&Ms
I'm trying to
mascot?
remember. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but it was something regarding one of the female M&Ms, and it was stupid
The
and
green one?
ridiculous. Yeah, something
What
like
he won a
that.
lap dance with her?
I
Lap
don't
dance with it?
know. I don't remember.
Oh my
But yeah,
god!
they
I remember
canceled
those
the
commercials.
M&Ms.
What he was saying, like the green M&M was sexist. I hate this world. I hate the society. I hate these people, man. Jesus.
Yeah,
Please go
let's
back to
here's the
1985.
drama explained. Um they
Like,
de-bimbofied the green M&M because I guess the green M&M was considered to be too sexy and considered to be, you know, like a bimbo apparently. So they changed her go-go boots and gave her sneakers. And then that led to Tucker Carlson being outraged about it. And then they just went the extreme route and just removed it entirely. And now they're like, well, we're going to have any M&M spokespeople anymore. It's going to be Maya Rudolph. Just because one
like
guy on his show on like Fox News said some remark, and now it's like, well, we can't have any M&M spokespeople anymore.
it's people trying to find stuff to cancel because if they don't, then they don't have a job. So they need to find something else so that you get some kind of revenue or some kind of attention or some
Hmm.
kind of eyes on them. Look how great I am. Look how progressive I am.
I think it
So,
ties into Razor Fist has done a lot of videos where he's making a good point that it's not go woke, get broke. It's go broke, get woke. And that's really what has been happening a lot with these companies, a lot of these properties. They aren't making as much. They're not doing as well financially. They're not as much in the public eye. And so they latch onto something. Like you're saying, like they latch onto something in order to get eyes on the property again. And what's one of the more popular forms of drama? The woke stuff. So there we go. Go broke, get woke. Not go woke, broke. It's the opposite.
Get broke, go woke.
I mean, look what's happening with Disney. Like they may have lost all this money, and now they're super woke and doing all these projects. They have a show on Hulu that's like the 1619
Well, they were doing
project.
that before, and this would help
Yeah,
them get broke. But now they're
hmm
doubling down.
they're doubling down on it with you know stuff like that.
To
The
haywire?
1619 project is like some kind of historical thing about racism and slavery, but it's based on an article that has been debunked numerous times and is not even really based necessarily in facts. And they're trying to act like it's based on some kind of real history, and that's dangerous. Like that stuff is dangerous where you're trying to revise history and trying to spread it to the masses. um But
Yeah,
yeah, I
why
mean, look
learn
at
history when
Willow.
you can rewrite
Look
it?
at the Willow show. You want to talk about go broke, get woke? Look at Willow.
What happened with Willow? Well, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, Willow is the show that has like every representation possible with the female characters and the trans whatever and lesbian and da 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 da. But they completely destroy the character of Willow, from what I've been reading, which is no surprise, and
Wow,
considering what they
big
did to Luke
surprise, yeah.
Skywalker.
Fully surprised. Fully surprised. Well, quickly, I want to give a shout out, thank you for this. Um,
That'll never happen because Richard Stanley has been canceled.
yeah, that's right.
Domestic
What was
violence.
the? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember
DV.
hearing about that.
Hmm.
Um,
Which that's messed up. But that does tie into my personal take on all of this. That happened off screen. That happened in his personal life, and I'm not going to cancel his films and feel bad for liking hardware because of what happened later on in his life behind closed doors. Because there's other people involved with hardware or other films that he's done that didn't do anything, didn't do that. Nick Cage didn't do that, so I just think this whole cancel culture thing has gotten way out of control as of late. I mean, we're canceling M&Ms now, and you got the whole Rick and Morty thing, which I get. Justin Roiland seems like a total fucking scumbag. But that show's been on for 10 years, and there's so many other people involved with that show who aren't into the same things that he's into, and also are completely totally innocent. But oh no, let's cancel that show. Let's forever consider that show to be awful and wrong and disgusting because of so and so. I just hate this mindset. It's destructive, and it just it seems like it's just a retaliation or just a way for people to cope. They're like, oh my god, my bubble got burst, and there
but
are bad people making things that I like, so I need to separate myself from it.
but when you're canceling candy like M&Ms, you're canceling Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
It's like people don't realize how ridiculous this is getting. Like, what would need to be canceled next for someone to actually wake up? Like, what would something that would be canceled to be woken up?
I don't know. A Marvel? I'm going to cancel Marvel? Cancel the MCU? But by the logic that people have, you could do that already. Robert Downey Jr., he was constantly arrested and, had a long rap sheet. He's been clean for years and he's been a model citizen ever since. But, he does have a rap sheet. So by the logic that a lot of these people have, you could easily cancel him and cancel all the MCU films that feature Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he's
Damn right.
Yeah, cancel the new Indiana Jones film. Cancel that. Cancel Alien 3. Is that cancel those? That'd be a good cancel. But with Indiana Jones 5 and all this stuff, if you made a guess as to which character will be destroyed next, what characters are out there could be possibly? Hey, frame by frame. Hello, everyone in the chat, by the
in
way.
the mainstream, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they going to reboot Iron Man and then, destroy Tony Stark? He's a womanizer. He's this and that. He should be canceled because, he's not appropriate for today's
oh, I got it.
Media.
They do know the RoboCop. Person's black. And it's a big old support for Black Lives Matter.
Oh my god.
And it's about a cop going after white people. Give it up, Whitey. Be black or there will be trouble. And he's just shooting all white people in the balls.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't think they would. I don't think the Turtles. I don't think they would even put that much thought into it if they were doing the Turtles nowadays.
Seth Rogen, who knows? I mean, they already made a fifth turtle that was a female twice.
Yeah, Venus. Yeah,
they'll probably make the turtles. I don't know. One's a transition.
Did you see the designs, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the 80s cartoon, but they look like 12 years old.
Yeah. And I guess that's the point. They're supposed to be like preteens or whatever. But that's what
I want to see. That's exactly what I want to see. I want to see
once again they fucked up with Donnie. What is this new trend of Donnie with fucking nerdy glasses with tape on them? Can we stop this?
He's a nerd.
This is so bad.
He's a nerd, so nerds need glasses, I guess. I don't know.
This isn't the 80s anymore. Why? Who the hell goes around wearing glasses with tape on them? Like this.
They just watch Revenge of the Nerds at the end of Indiana.
I guess
they keep thinking about that.
I wish we went.
Maybe they like us. We got glasses.
I wish there's a lot of films nowadays that got the Revenge of the Nerds reboot treatment back in the day, where they shot like a bit of the movie and then they saw the dailies and they were like, this shit sucks. We're not doing this. We're not gonna finish this. Nowadays they'll just finish that shitty movie and they'll release it in theaters or make it on streaming.
Just a fucking nerd and you know it.
Or Mikey with his braces. I'm like, what fucking dentist is Splinter taking these turtles to? to give the kid. I didn't even know
he had braces. He got braces? Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got braces.
I wonder which one has the pre-ejaculation problem or the bedwetting problem. Yes, Leo has the bedwetting problem, and Raph has the pre-ejaculation all over his dumb face.
You really do. It really does feel like Demolition Man, where we're both like, somebody put me back in the fridge. How soon is it we're gonna just start? We're just gonna start, idolizing commercials. Oh no, the M&M's commercials will get banned because they're too offensive. So
Pretty much. Oh yeah, and of course recently I did watch that Skinamarink.
yeah,
That's a good
I saw that
movie.
video. Great job.
I
Um,
mean, if you want a good chunk in the movie to be this, and then some sounds pop up,
but but
you know,
Matt,
there's your movie.
it's one of the scariest, most terrifying original horror experiences in years.
I guess they're scared of toilets disappearing.
I mean, if that did happen in the middle of the night, and I needed to go really bad, I mean, that would be pretty scary. Gotta be honest.
Sure, I mean, skid mark the movie. I'm waiting for someone to send you that request now. Watch that for 100 minutes.
I know if I do, I'll take you up on your challenge. I'll try to sit through the entire thing
Oh,
like I
someone
did
has
with
a
No,
has Mike
not
seen
yet.
Megan.
I do have an HD rip that I have access to, but no, I haven't watched it yet. It'll be on my list. I got a bunch of other stuff I still need to get to. I did
Yeah.
record my epic rant on Vacation from 2015. Awful. It's another
That
good
movie.
example of just a terrible reboot. Looks like it was shot like it's a fucking sitcom. Like the direction in that is so like bad. Like, and those two did a good job. They're capable directors. They showed it in Game Night with Jason Bateman. That's actually a well-directed film, and it's actually pretty clever and funny. And they wrote
Yeah.
Horrible Bosses prior to Vacation, and I thought that was a good comedy. So I don't know what the hell happened. Like my theory is they deliberately tanked the movie. They deliberately wrote a shitty Vacation reboot. They were like, "We are going to kill this franchise. We are going to write the worst, most obnoxious take on a Vacation sequel or reboot possible."
Or it's before there's some people controlling them a little bit, but when you give them more freedom, more of your nonsensical humor
Oh,
comes out.
yeah.
Because when you have less success, there's a little bit more eyes on you. When the more success you get, the more those hands come off, and then
You get
we can
Rob
do whatever we
Zombie.
want. Thank you, Blast Radius.
Yes.
Cancellations hypocritical too because they will cancel one person nor the other. Yeah, they'll try to cancel Johnny Depp, but they will ignore like Ezra Miller.
With I got a good example of, this mindset that people have. That it's selective cancellation. It's like you can't cancel Netflix, for instance, and only cancel the certain shows and films that you don't watch and don't like, and then keep your subscription, and then have it be canceled. That's not how canceling works. So if you're going to cancel something, you have to cancel everything. Like, and that's not what they do. They pick and choose. And it is very hypocritical. But it's a great point by Blast Radius because, yeah, they wouldn't happen nearly as much if these corporate structures or these corporations and these businesses, or in the media's case, film studios and so on, didn't bow down or kowtow to so many of these people on social media who bitch and moan about being offended by something. Like if they didn't give them that power after a certain point, then this idea, which is that's what this is. When I see people say cancel culture isn't a thing, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist
It
as
totally
like
does.
it doesn't exist as a physical thing. No, it exists as an
Right.
idea.
Yeah.
And with ideas, they can be based upon falsehoods. They could be based on the opposite of reality. And I think what you have a lot of times when it comes to this cancel stuff where people are trying to cancel all these things, it's because their idea of what reality is warped, and they're getting faced with reality and they can't handle it. And so they're trying to, distance themselves from it, and they're trying to take extreme measures to maintain this bubble around them that isn't really connected to what is actually going on and what has actually happened in real life and throughout history. Life is problematic. It's full of problematic people. It's not full of nothing but solutions. And sometimes there are things that you like or you even admire that could have people involved with them that are not good people. That doesn't mean
But
that
here's
that
the thing
product
about that.
itself is bad.
The reason a lot of this happens as well is not for any sincerity moments
No.
and sincerity reasons. It's either for someone else to gain something, whether it's views, whether it's attention,
Mhm.
whether it's points to look how great and wonderful and how I'm of the times, monetary gain, sympathy, support,
Mhm.
to obscure whatever they're doing in their lives and put the
Yes.
attention to someone else. Because a lot of times now, a lot of times the same person, you know the term skeleton in a closet.
Yeah.
They don't have a skeleton; they got an entire cemetery in their closet,
Yep.
filled to the brim with
They got
bodies.
fucking Cuesta Verde back there.
And that is exactly not every single time, but a lot of times that's why it's done because what if someone finds out I did something or they find, wait, look how good I am. And they don't really, how, I'm not going to say the word. It starts with a P, E, you know the rest
Mhm.
because you
Mhm.
two don't like that. You know that's been going on for Hollywood for years. Corey Haim,
Exactly.
all these other people, and no one did anything, and no one said anything.
And yeah,
Well,
speaking of
not
the
no
Corey
one, but
Haim
very
thing,
little,
I
very
don't
little.
buy anything that Corey Feldman says about Corey Haim and Corey Haim's abuse, because I 100% believe that Corey Feldman knew who abused him. It was his friend Dominic, and he was
Yeah,
still friends with this Dominic guy for years and was still in contact with him even after Corey died. So, yeah, the more I dig into Corey Feldman, like the more I'm like, you are a fucking scumbag, man. Like, real piece of work. Especially, for the just continuing to like try to speak for Corey after he's not here. And then try to get all the sympathy votes for, oh, I was abused
yes,
too.
the chocolate bar dude from Friday Five. That's Dominic Brazier from
Yeah.
Friday 13 Part Five. Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy.
That's where you have that scene from the two Coreys. Like that's not a stunt. And there was like an interview where Corey Feldman said that it was a stunt, like it was a publicity stunt. And Corey Haim told me later that it was to get a new season. And I'm like, fuck you, man. Like there's that that was not a stunt. Like Corey Haim was being honest there, and he was just like,
Which
you were
part?
there. The whole thing where
Can't
he's like,
remember.
you knew who abused me. You introduced him to
Mm.
me. Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah.
It's tough stuff, and I understand, why we should, believe a lot of these people that come forward. But Corey Feldman's an example of somebody who I think is a prime instance of why you should not always believe what people are saying at face value when it comes to these kind of things. It's a shame. It's a shame that he just keeps doing this. It's like if you really were his friend, you fucking stop this shit.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
do think at times, obviously
Yes.
each writer is different, but
Victor
there's a lot of
Salva.
writers that, yeah,
I mean, in one of the Jeepers Creepers films, peeping at, some underage, teens.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the first one, someone mentions, "Oh, someone went and was sniffing your underwear." That creeper was doing that.
Yeah. And
Even, yeah, go ahead.
I've read that in Rick and Morty, like there are some like stuff that makes you like think, okay, like Justin might be into this kind of thing. But
Even Bryan Singer, when I rewatched Apt Pupil recently,
yeah, yeah,
and some of the homoerotic
mm-hmm,
filming the scenes with the kids in the shower,
yeah,
and they're supposed to be like 16 years old,
yeah,
and I don't know if Bryan Singer did it, but I mean, it's not like it was filmed like Victor Salva's was. But
no.
it's like I don't know if he did it, he's a scumbag. If he didn't, he didn't. But if he did, and you watch some of that stuff, it's like that's a bit
I kind of lean towards
different
thinking
thing.
that Brian did,
Mm.
from what, I've been reading and from a lot of the stuff. And especially since Brad Renfro ultimately killed himself. I'm just wondering if
Well, that was
that
from
might have
drug. That
been
that was.
uh,
I think he overdosed.
he
I think he
overdosed,
overdosed
but
on drugs,
that could have been
heroin or
tied
something.
into what he
Well, I think his
experienced.
mom was a heroin addict when he was
Yeah,
born. I think
yeah.
that's what happened with him.
Hmm.
I know there's another person that accused Brian Singer. I forget the person's name. He said it was like the understudy or assistant or
I think
something
I
to
think there
Brian
was
Singer.
something tied in with Jonathan Brandis too, I think, for some other
Oh,
instance.
really?
I don't think it was Brian Singer though.
Oh, Manny Detail like, how about them Cowboys? I guess just rather
Yeah.
die. Like,
How about them not able to get past the divisional round and s 30 years and counting. Yeah, how about them? Yeah, that was tough, but didn't expect them to even get this far anyway after the way the season started.
but a final answer to Psycho's hobos. Yes, it can very much reflect on a writer's personality because a lot of
I think it
times they will
can.
don't put either a part of themselves,
Mhm.
sometimes the entire self, and I think that happens with a lot of writers. Not with
I think it's like a subconscious
even
thing sometimes. It's not even an intentional a decision always. Like it's just their subconscious coming to the surface when it comes to their writing. And I feel yeah, I understand why people feel uncomfortable, viewing things or watching movies or shows that have a lot of this stuff, potentially
yeah,
in it. But I don't agree with the whole idea of just lumping in everybody who's ever worked on the product or the show in the
mm,
same boat as the person who's committing the crime or is doing or is into such heinous things because I just feel I feel that that is something that isn't discussed enough, like the impact that is being felt by everyone else. And I understand why it's happening that way, but I think we can handle it differently as people, and on social media, we can handle it differently than just, oh, I'm going to press the nuclear option and now from this point forward, this show or this film is canceled
mm.
and I will never watch it again and I will never support it again and I feel bad for supporting it and then go as far to shame other people for being into it as if they are for some reason advocating for the person who's accused or the person who has been incarcerated or the person who is into really depraved things who was involved with the production. Like for example, Ren and Stimpy, yeah, John Kay is a piece of work and just an awful person. But there were other people involved with that show that helped create the show and worked on the show for many years and I don't they weren't into that. That wasn't something that they believed in and they didn't take part in what John Kay was doing. So I just don't feel it's fair. It really isn't. And it's just getting out of hand to the point where they are just using a giant brush or an eraser and just trying to erase the entire thing because it just makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, how do I put it? Every situation is going to be different. The fact of, yes, if they're working on it and they didn't know anything about it, they're just doing their job, they're just
Yeah.
doing the work.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, I don't go to their house every day, and I go home and I pay my bills and I do all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And but if it's a people that did know about it and don't say anything
Yeah.
about it, that is different.
Yeah.
I don't think
That
that was
is
the case
different.
with some of this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like I say, with every situation, it you have to look at it
Clown House is
specifically
one
on
of
its
the
own measures.
few exceptions for me because it is one of those instances where I think it's impossible to separate the art from the artist because the creation of the art happened while the artist was doing the
Right.
act. That'd be like if a guy who painted some work of art while he, about a murder, and while he was murdering somebody, like you'd be like, so I can't separate the art from the artist in that instance. But when it comes to a lot of these other instances, I can and I will, and I think that should be discussed more because what is going on now, I think, is not good. I think it's not good for the history of media or art in general. I really don't.
Mm.
It's very similar to, what happened when books got burned because they were considered to be offensive in nature. It's a similar kind of thing. It's just happening in a different way. And what I find funny about that, crazy enough, is you have that book burning scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, with Hitler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Hitler, he did all these horrible things, and I'm surprised people aren't trying to cancel the Indiana Jones films because Hitler's in the Last Crusade, and people aren't trying to be like, oh, they trivialized Hitler because they had that scene played for laughs.
Well, I mean, you never know. I mean, if they're canceling M&Ms because they're too sexy,
Yeah,
who knows where it'll lead to in 10
exactly.
years? Stuff being censored from those films.
That's why more
Like they
people
would
need
keep,
to step up. And instead of being afraid of some people on Twitter or TikTok or whatever,
like they,
trying to cancel them for just speaking out and saying, "Hey, we should separate the art from the artist."
but you could,
You
like
know,
you were bringing that up, you could see in 10 years, because everything's going to go more into streaming. Oh, let's take Last Crusade and let's just cut that scene with Hitler out
yeah,
and just say in dialogue, yeah, we got the book, and maybe they're in the place, but they
hmm
don't have the scene with him
that's what they did with
signing.
The Simpsons. They did that already with The Simpsons on streaming. With
Yeah, with the Michael
the Michael
Jackson.
Jackson
Yeah,
episode.
so they could
You're like,
easily
what
do
Michael
that.
Jackson episode? That doesn't exist.
It does, because I got the DVD. That's why physical
Yeah, I
media
have it
is
too.
worth it.
Yeah,
Physical media is important, folks, because if you have it in your hand, they can't edit that.
nope,
But we'll play before this. Thank you. I do enjoy that show. It's
love
very
that show.
unique.
Grew up watching that show on Cartoon Network. Used to watch it all the time. Scared the shit out of me some nights. Like there are some episodes of that show, like I don't know how they got away with some of that stuff. And I'm not the only one when it comes to having some sleepless nights because of some Courage the Cowardly Dog. You know, uh the uncanny valley nature of some of those creations is still something that really gets under my skin. Like that
Yeah, it tends to
early
very, yeah,
CGI. Yeah, it's really
some
oof.
unique vistas and like wide shots of landscapes is very unique
Yes.
for that time and for that type of show on that network. It definitely caught people's eyes, and it didn't feel like it was dumbing down the audience, if that
No.
makes sense.
No. Wasn't just for kids. I think that's a big reason why the show still has a cult following is because of the fact that it wasn't just another kids show.
But it also wasn't a TVMA where Courage is getting naked in
No,
showers and has two
no.
lesbian moms and whatever the hell.
It's
Like
it's not like
Velma.
Velma or Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon, which that is one of the worst bits of animation I think I've ever seen. People think Velma is bad. I've heard it's awful, but I doubt it's as bad as fucking Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon.
I don't know.
I
Stuff
mean,
I've heard about Velma. I think
in
Velma
terms
takes the
of the
cake.
subject material, that's what I'm saying. In terms of the content, in terms of like the writing, Velma probably might be worse because it has more aggravating, annoying, obnoxious characters. Yep, Fahrenheit 451. I did a book report on that
Yep.
actually.
Yeah, I know there was going to be a film at one point. Well, they did make a film with Michael B. Jordan, but there was going
Didn't
to be
they
a
do a?
one previously. Mel Gibson was going to be part of it
Oh yeah, the
back in
Michael
the
B.
day.
Jordan one. That's been completely forgotten about. I think that was a mini
Yeah.
series or something. Wasn't that? I think it was on.
I don't know if there was a miniseries.
I don't think it was a feature
I thought it was
film.
just a movie.
It might
I
have been
could
a
look
movie. I
real
think it was
quick.
a TV movie though. I don't think it got much of a
I,
theatrical release.
I think it went like to Netflix or not Netflix, but
Possibly.
I think it went to streaming.
Yeah.
I'll check it real quick.
Man, that's a iconic book. And they made a movie of Michael B. Jordan and people were like most people have already forgotten about it. They're like, "What? There was another Fahrenheit 451?"
No, it was an hour and 40 minutes, so it wasn't a miniseries.
Okay.
And HBO, I think it debuted on
Oh,
HBO.
it's an HBO original movie,
Yeah, HBO Films.
which Velma is an
And
HBO Max show, so
go figure. Uh,
HBO's HBO Max, like they canceled so many animated shows because of the whole tax write-off stuff that they're doing, and now they thought they hitched their wagon to Rick and Morty, and now they're like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do now? I guess we recast the voices, see how that works. But in today's day and age,
but I
there's
mean,
already a bunch of people who they're like, I'm done with Rick and Morty. As
mm,
sad as that is, that there's already like hundreds, if not thousands of people. Like hundreds is a low number. There's thousands, actually millions of people who are
mm.
already like, I'm not supporting that show. I'm not watching another season.
But if he's not part of it anymore and there's other people working on it, then if he's not part of it, like what point is it to go away from the show? What's that going to
I
solve?
know.
What
I know.
what's that going to matter? I want to say just hi to everyone who's come in. Winter Flowers, hey there, frame by frame. No, we still haven't seen Velma. Just the stuff we've heard about it. Hello, Ninja Turtles Renaissance. Hello, Remake Station 5. Hello, everyone. Winter, yeah, again, Kim, Jet Frost. Hello, Total Meltdown. Someone said missing action films are imperialist wish fulfillment.
I don't know what that means, but they are fun movies. And I'm looking forward to getting the trilogy set from Kino Lorber.
Well, it's a fun trilogy. I like all three of them. So they can eat it.
I guess
Eat
we're
my
imperialists.
schlong.
We're imperialists, Matt. Well, does that mean we're
Yep, I
fans
like.
of Imperial Pictures action movies? Because for the most part, yeah, I am.
Yeah, God forbid I like action films where people are actually heroic and not, being complete selfish dildos. I know, shame on us. Back to the day when the heroes were heroes and men were men and all that stuff.
I mean, that
And
was the case even in comedies. That's another thing I've noticed more, after watching Vacation again, the 2015 movie. Like, the leads in those films, like, they were not always, like, the best characters in terms of, their morals sometimes, but they weren't total unlikable assholes who don't even know what a rim job is. There was a certain,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
line.
I forgot about that
Yeah.
plot point.
Yeah.
Vacation 2015. Forgot about that plot point. Jesus.
More shock humor too, because the more shocking the humor is, the funnier it is. And I'm like, no, the less funny it is, because the more times you do that kind of humor, the less funny it gets because you're overdoing it. Shock humor is at its funniest when it's unexpected, when it happens just a few times, not every other scene.
I look forward to that,
Nope.
man. Please let me know. I always commend people who know how to draw because I always wanted to but never could. If you ever do that, man, please let me know. I would love to give it a look. Very cool. Um, I always wanted to draw, but I could never do it. Could
My
barely do
dad's a
stick
good
figures. But
my dad's a good artist. I'm not.
yeah, good luck with that, man. Please let me know.
I
Framer
did
friends
draw
asked.
when I was a
Yeah,
kid. I did draw, RoboCop and, other characters and whatever. Probably have some of those drawings somewhere.
someone's asked. Framer friends asking, have you seen The Northman?
The Northman, not yet. It's one of the films I have on my 2022 watch list, which I'm still gonna do a best and worst thing. But hey, the Oscars wait their sweet ass time until they celebrate the 2022 film, so I can wait too. I want to get it done. I want to do it the right way. I don't want to like, oh, I saw this movie and this should be on the list or
And
this should be on the worst list.
Michael's asking, will you eventually review Violent Night?
Um Maybe. I did like the film quite a bit. I really did enjoy it. It took a bit to get going, to be honest, but once it did, really had a lot of fun with it. Nice bits of action, especially the scene in the garage. That shit's like something straight out of a John Wick movie. Loved it.
Yeah, that was a
Um
great scene.
John Leguizamo was fun as the villain. Ah, fucking
Did you
humbug.
think the mom and dad were a bit those
Yeah,
supporting characters? What do you
yeah, I
feel about
did.
those characters?
I wasn't super big on them. I think it might have been really due to the performers, not necessarily the writing. Because I
Mm.
don't really feel that, the writing, for instance, that film was a good example of having representation in the cast, but not doing it in a forced, like, oh, well, look, here we have an African American and everyone else is being racist. Like, no, they didn't do that, which I did appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, I had fun with that. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was
I liked the kid
entertaining.
too. I thought she did a really good job. I
Yeah,
really liked
she did a
the
good job.
and
David David Harbour wasn't too bad. I liked him,
yeah, I thought he was really,
and
really solid. And the Home Alone bit was hilarious. I thought that honestly made me think, you know what? I kind of want to see that R-rated Home Alone movie with Macaulay Culkin. If it's gonna be something like that, I'd watch that.
I know I've not seen the trailer to 65. Someone was asking me. I've heard about it. I haven't seen the trailer.
I saw the first trailer for it. Looked interesting. I like the idea of dinosaurs mixed with future tech. Not necessarily 100% sold on Adam Driver being the lead, but I'll give it a shot. Curious about it enough that I'll give it a shot. It is kind of worrisome that it was delayed numerous times due to reshoots, though. That's always kind of a
Mm.
worrying thing.
Wasn't the other one that was reshoots of film you saw the one with Tom Holland and
Oh
Daisy
yeah,
Ridley?
fucking chaos walking, more like chaos limping. That was terrible. It was really bad. And I understand the book was like that, where you hear their thoughts. It's something that I guess works better in novel form than in a movie because it's so fucking annoying to just hear these thoughts just constantly over and over and just annoying, beyond annoying. People talking and then their thoughts talking at the same time. You're like, oh my God, one of you shut the fuck up. Stop
It sounds like the
thinking
middle.
or stop talking.
Sound like it was done better in Mel Gibson's What Women Want.
Yeah,
Well, hearing thoughts.
yeah. They did a remake of that sucked. Where it was a reboot where it was like What Men Want, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, well, of course. A big surprise. Uh, I'm trying. Let me check on the chat. Someone asked, "Do we like Waffle House?" I've never been to a Waffle House. Never been to
You know,
one.
I haven't been to one. I've been to IHOP before, been to Denny's a few times. You know, they're fine. They're all right, you know, for what they are.
I do
Um,
like IHOP quite a bit, but they don't have them around here, and they're pretty
remember when
spendy as
they
well.
remember when they were doing burgers and they made a big deal about it? Remember it was like
Nah, I didn't know that.
International House of Burgers, like IHOB. Yeah, they had the big advertising campaign where they're like, "We're doing burgers now," and then like it didn't really catch on. I did try Carl's Jr.'s A1 Steakhouse grill burger recently, and that was really good. I would definitely recommend that to people who are a fan of fast food burgers.
Very cool. Now, real quickly, let me ask you
Mm-hmm.
of your, because from time to time you do buy a decent amount of stuff for
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, I do.
Is what was the last like best buy that you got? The last like this is great find.
Oh, hmm, hmm. Um, Recently, I would say, when I went to for Christmas present shopping, the double feature of Vampire's Kiss and High Spirits, that was a pretty good buy because it's been out of print for a while, so I only got it for like 8.50, so that was a pretty good one. Um a lot of my best buys are like when I get stuff for, a good discount, for things that are either out of print or, just way below market value. Like a lot of collectors, like that's some of your best buys is when you get a good deal. And to this day, I would say this is an older deal that I got, but it's still probably the best one. I went to a local thrift store and just all these different Blu-rays and DVDs and like box sets of full shows like The Shield and others. And I paid, I think it was like a little over 100 or something, and for like just a huge haul of stuff, including like a Criterion Blu-ray of Watership Down, and a whole slew of other things like Warner Archive DVDs and a ton of different Blu-rays, and it was just a really good deal, really good haul. Um, Nowadays though, a lot of my hauls have to spend a decent amount in order to get a good deal on things. That's just kind of how it is in terms of where I'm at and what my options are. Like back in, maybe like when buybacks was still around, locally where I could just walk to it like almost every day. Get off work and just go straight to buybacks, or on my day off go walk to buybacks. That's when I probably, had some of the
I
better
I do have to
deals.
ask someone a quick question because this guy's a writer. So I want to ask a writer who's been in the business. How do you explain writers writing stuff like Velma, a cartoon with in case you didn't hear it all, like you guy wrote some stuff in Hollywood. We're gonna write a Scooby Doo show with no Scooby Doo that's TVMA with Velma a
Apparently
self
Scooby
agent.
is in it, but it's not a dog. It's some girl that some character winds up dating. Her name is Scooby. I think it's the Shaggy character Norville. He winds up dating some girl named Scooby. Yeah.
So Shaggy is going to literally fuck Scooby.
Yeah. That's like the only way that some people can actually, I guess, see their fantasies, I guess, come to life. I guess with Shaggy, Scooby. their bestiality fantasies or whatever on DeviantArt. uh, oh, yeah. Like things are getting so nuts nowadays that that movie Caligula where all this depraved stuff happens, all these sex parties and all this shit. You're like, well, that's nothing really. That isn't much of that's nothing compared to what is going on and shit like Velma. I don't know how half this shit gets made.
I hate
Yeah, and then
this
there's a lot of
world.
stuff that doesn't get made that, you're like, well, why didn't that get made? And then you're like, well, money, the producer didn't like the script, the company went out of business. Like Crusade, I still think like Carlico, that's one of their biggest mistakes. Because Cutthroat Island wound up costing as much as Crusade would have take to make anyway. So they should have just I heard that her
Hmm.
name was Scooby, like it's a nickname, like Scooby with an I. That's what I heard from
I wouldn't be
somebody, from some
surprised.
source.
I would not be surprised if it's like, would people be surprised? Why am I
No.
surprised? Why would I be surprised? Why would I be surprised? Why would it?
Maybe all this stuff is happening, Matt, because of the same fucking thing in The Happening. Everyone's getting messed up by The Happening, the shit from the tree or whatever. And so now everyone's like Mark Wahlberg and they're just like, "What? No."
Or if it doesn't happen this season, they'll do it for season two, since again, probably season two.
And stuff
Because
getting more seasons, I'm not surprised by because when this happens, it's more likely due to the fact that the network or the studio that owns the rights, they own the exclusive rights to it. So they tend to want to make as many seasons as they can because they're the ones that own the exclusive rights to it, which is advertising rights or whatever else. So, but that makes more sense when it comes to network television because that ties into like advertising. But streaming, it doesn't make sense to me. But I guess it's one of those things where Velma broke records because the people hate watching the show so much. So in that regard, stop hate watching this shit. Like you've said before, there are other ways to watch shit like this that don't tie into you giving HBO Max or any of these other platforms your watch time for their algorithm so that they can make more of this crap. Make them think that it was a success because it broke all these records and all these people watched it during the first week.
so apparently, no. Thankfully, Struby is not in the show, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But I think you gave whoever you heard gave him a good bad idea for next season. Because sadly, I could see that happening for season two.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way you described. So yeah, I got mad for nothing. But just think, I get mad for the future because it's bound to happen. Something
He
like
got
that.
mad at the
Stupid's
thought.
bound to happen
He got mad at the thought. And the
because
fact
it's
that we're
realistic
even
in today's
yes,
age.
that's the reason he got mad at the thought that this is actually something that could be close to reality. That is upsetting.
Yes. Um. They answer a few questions. Sorry about that, guys. Uh, Jonathan's asking your favorite John Goodman roles or films. For me, I would go with Arachnophobia.
That'd be up
I
there
think
for
it's an
me.
underrated film.
Speaking of arachnophobia, I'm starting to lose hope about Julian Sands because it's been so long.
Oh
But
yeah, I heard
I
about that. He
really hope that
disappeared.
he gets found and he's safe.
He was
But
hiking, right?
yeah, he was hiking somewhere and they found other
He
people, but they
disappeared.
haven't found him. So it's not looking good, and
Hmm.
that's a bummer. Really is. Um,
That's too bad. I mean, it's too bad.
makes me not want to go hiking. I don't like hiking anyway. So now I'm like,
Also makes you wonder what. I mean, we're not going to know until what happens, but it makes me wonder what did happen.
yeah, I know.
You know,
It's definitely a mystery. But
don't get
yeah,
Velma to solve it though.
arachnophobia is up there for me when it comes to John Goodman. Really like his role as Delbert. Um, The Big Lebowski. That's probably my
Yeah,
favorite John
that
Goodman
one too.
performance on film. Um,
That's great.
You're over the line. Walter.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Doc.
And that's how I feel about a lot of this shit. I almost just was there was like Walter like, just shut the fuck up, Velma. Because we're just
Did
like,
what you
we don't
do.
want to
Fuck the
hear.
stranger in the ass.
Yeah, it's like we don't want to hear any of this shit. Stop fucking us in the ass and just stop making this garbage. Stop canceling
Exactly.
M&Ms and just shut the fuck up. But yeah, he's great in that. I also like John Goodman's cameo in Raising Arizona. I think he's a lot of fun
Yeah,
in that too, and the little bit role that he has. Um, I really like his Roseanne character. I really like Dan Connor. I would
Dan. Yeah.
say that that's one of my favorite roles of his too. That's another show. I'm like, yeah, Roseanne said some stupid shit on Twitter, and her political views and whatever aren't necessarily something that I agree with. That's the other thing I don't get is like, if somebody's politics isn't the same as yours, that doesn't mean you need to cancel the show or the film that they're in because you don't like their politics. That's fucking stupid. Like when they're trying to cancel Chris Pratt or whatever over some
Or
nonsense,
Tim Allen.
or Tim Allen, that too.
Yeah, it's all stupid.
But
Um,
yeah, Roseanne, I'll support that show for John Goodman. He's great in that show. Some of his best work is in that show, actually.
and someone's mentioning, yes, I do like Batman '89, Tim Burton. Joe Schumacher ones, not so much, although he is a good director. It's just those two are
Yeah,
not his best hour. But he's
no,
done
they're
a lot of
not.
good work.
Batman
Falling
Forever is
Down,
still decent.
Flatliners.
I'll admit it, it's kind of it's decent. I kind of look at Batman Forever now that I've been rewatching a lot of Batman animated series episodes. It's kind of similar to like an episode with Robin. Like an episode of Batman animated series with Robin, where I'm like, not super, not honestly my favorites of that show, but it's watchable. That kind of thing.
Mm, right.
Not
But yeah, I
quite
definitely
Batman and
prefer Tim.
Robin, but
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely prefer Tim Burns' Batman to Joel Schumacher. But Joel
me
Schumacher is
too.
still a great director.
Yeah, Lost Boys,
Underrated,
Falling
still a lot of good work.
Down, Flatliners. Didn't he also do
Phone
Phone
Booth.
Booth? Yeah,
Yeah, Phone
Eight
Booth.
Millimeter.
Hmm. Yes, John Goodman was in Constant Island. Yes, he was in that. He
That's
did a good
another
job in
great.
that.
I liked him in that too.
Favorite Michael Crichton directed film? For
Directed
me,
film.
Runaway with Tom Selleck.
Yeah, that'd be mine too, because he hasn't directed a lot.
I think he did Westworld back in the day. I think he
Didn't he do
did what,
Andromeda
Coma?
Strain? Did he's the one? Is he the one that did Andromeda Strain? No, I think that was Robert Wise. Never mind, that was
Uh,
somebody else.
yeah, Robert Wise.
Coma was pretty decent, but yeah, I'd go with Runaway.
Then he also did Looker, right?
Yeah, Looker was Looker was way ahead of its time in a lot of ways, if you think about it.
But I go to Runaway Town Nostalgia. I always
Pretty
enjoyed
decent
that.
thriller. Like I've been watching a lot of John Carpenter films, and I watched Someone Is Watching Me for the first time, and that was pretty good for a TV movie. Pretty good. Lauren Hutton was hot, and she was a really strong character. I love the way John Carpenter wrote her. Like she was able to hold her own verbally or physically at
I got to
times.
mention this. I got to warn someone. He might not be in the film that much, man. So
It's not
don't get
gonna,
too
yeah.
excited because I've heard they're cutting not every scene, but they're cutting a bit of his footage out because
Hmm.
they want Keaton gone because they're going all this new direction. That's why they canceled Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton. Of course, Batgirl, Michael Keaton. That's not the reason they
Hmm.
canceled, but he was in that. And
Speaking of
apparently, they're cutting
Keaton,
footage. They're cutting his
if
footage.
you're a big fan of Keaton, I am. I know you're a big fan.
Yeah.
This show is really depressing, but it's a really well put together series. Dope sick. Keaton won, I think, an
Okay.
Emmy for it recently. Came out, I think, sometime in 2021. Really good series. It's about methamphetamine. The not methamphetamine. It's about the drug OxyContin,
Hmm.
and it's about the rise of OxyContin and the corrupt
Yeah.
practices behind selling and distributing it, and about how there was this doctor in a small town who wound up becoming hooked to Oxy, and that doctor is played by Michael Keaton in one of his best performances. He's really good in it. It's kind of like a return to what you saw in Clean and Sober, that kind of thing.
Mm.
You know,
Okay. So it's more drama.
very very heavy drama and just really like heavy stuff. Where like you
What
watch an
what channel was
episode,
that on?
it was on Hulu, and you watch it and
Okay.
you're like, I gotta keep watching this, but at the same time you're like, this is not going to end well. I know that this isn't going to end well. The happy ending, if there is one, is probably going to be fairly bittersweet because that's what happens with drug addiction stories, and that's pretty much what did happen with Dope Sick. But good show though.
Holy shit.
Whoa. Hey, okay.
And you got Sandra Bullock on top of that.
That's
So there you go.
awesome.
You got Sandra Bullock
I love me some
making me
Sandra
laugh so
Bullock.
hard. I love you guys. Have a great night. Yeah, well, it's great now. Thank you, man. I don't deserve that. I really don't deserve that, but
Oh, I think
I'm
you
gonna
do
leave
for
that for a little bit.
all the
I think
entertainment you
that's the
provide
least.
people.
I mean, that's the least I can do is leave this up for a little bit. But that's sincerely kind of you. Thank you.
Sandra Bullock's
Um,
another actor, an actress that I'm a fan of. She has a pretty good track record of, solid films. Like there's some exceptions, like All About Steve, and that awful movie with the
about Steve.
terrible terrible photoshopped poster, like one of the worst ever.
About Steve. I still haven't seen the one that got a bit of hype for a bit on the boat. Bird Box.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Was
that
that what
yet
it's called?
either. You and I are on the same boat with that one. Yeah, Bird Box. I haven't seen that yet either. I should. So I know it seems like it has a good performance from her. I know you saw The Unforgivable. I thought that looked like it might have a good
Yeah,
role from her.
I liked her in that. Yeah,
Um,
that's I did like
I
her in
even
that.
like the Miss Congeniality films mainly because of Sandra Bullock.
And the Heat as well.
Yeah, that's a fun one, and I think Melissa McCarthy can get a little grating, but Sandra Bullock's a good balance, and I do like the Heat.
I didn't
I
see
am
the one that
surprised they
you
didn't do a
saw.
sequel.
Yeah, it was a big hit.
The
I
Lost
didn't see the
City.
Lost City. You saw that.
It
I know
was
you
it
said it
was
was in.
okay. It was okay. Like and it's worth a watch for Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, but a good chunk of the stuff you saw in the trailer, that kind of thing. The action is kind of lackluster.
Okay. I I don't remember the trailer, so whenever I watch it, it'll be new to me. But uh, I get what you mean, though. I mean, from the stuff I've heard, it seems like a time waster.
It
So
is.
one
It's a
day
time
maybe I'll
waster.
check
It's
it
it's
out.
all right. It's there's definitely a lot worse films you can watch than The Lost City.
I remember you
I
reacted to
know.
a trailer and you're like, Sandra Bullock is in this with Fisher Stevens. It's
Oh,
like a '90s movie.
oh yeah, the is that the
I
one?
forget the name of the movie.
Is that Love Potion _9, or is that the other one?
No, that
Some other
was
movie that she was in.
and the music played on. No, it's like a longer title like that is
Oh, yeah.
Love
Okay,
and
I don't.
stuff in the '90s.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
had
Yeah,
the
that one.
girl from Commando in it.
Oh yeah.
The lady, I forget, Ray Don
Um,
Chon. I
Radon
forget what
Chon.
the name of the
Yeah.
movie was.
Yeah. Isn't she
Yeah,
in?
Ray Don Chon was in the movie. Yeah,
I don't think is Sandra Bullock. Oh, she was in Ocean's 8, I believe.
I think one of them. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Been a while since I've seen those.
Ocean's 8, I
Yeah.
didn't mind either. Like for what it was, like it was
Oh, okay.
watchable.
I
It was
didn't see
decent
Ocean's
enough.
8. I was thinking the other ones, but Ocean's 8 was the newer one. I didn't see that
Yeah,
one.
she was good in it.
Perfect
Couldn't
Storm.
save
Someone's
Speed
asking
two.
talking.
Couldn't save Speed 2 though. I mean, but I'm not
No,
gonna blame
she didn't say
Sandra Bullock
Speed
for that.
2.
The net, I know, gets a lot of crap from people for being dated nowadays because it's internet and what technology. But I like the net. I
But no
think it's
one.
actually a pretty good thriller.
Yeah, I think for 1990 was a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did the best they could seeing what the internet would be. I mean, the internet,
Yeah.
people forget what the internet was in 95. I remember what it was, and it was still a very new thing with slow web browsing. And what was it? Maybe had QuickTime. Is that what it was? Like the
Real
early,
Player. Do you remember when you had to do Real Player, Matt? Like, remember when you had to,
yeah.
if you wanted to watch trailers from like a certain website, like that horror movie website, which I don't even think is even around anymore, where I got some trailers from that I remember posting on my channel that were not found anywhere else and still haven't been found anywhere else, which is crazy to me. But yeah, you had to download Real Player and then watch it through Real Player, this app or whatever. QuickTime was another one. Movie wasn't movie clips, it was some other fucking some special website for trailers that were QuickTime trailers. And I don't remember what it was.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
It was a time where like every video was like this big.
Like you could
Like it's a
download
lot.
ones that were larger, but like they had like this special like logo or something like
Yeah.
watermark or whatever on it.
And
God,
what
I
was
don't
the
remember the fucking name of that thing, and I do remember, going to that website.
Video Detective?
No, that's a different one. I do remember going
Okay.
to that a lot. I used to look through my
Yeah.
Creature Features movie guide, when I was bored, and I would just go to Video Detective and just look up the trailers and just watch them.
Yeah, I can't remember what that was. Uh, God, but like I said, people don't realize what 95 internet was. It's a very different animal from today.
I mean,
Very, very different animal.
Even when Netflix first started and they started first having some streaming stuff, even that was very different. Like they were streaming with the Windows Media Player, if I remember fucking correctly.
Well, hell, before that, I mean, before something when I remember Netflix was you get stuff in the mail.
Yeah, that's when I
I
first had
remember
Netflix.
this was like probably I don't know when Netflix started, but I'll get to your super chat in a minute, Psycho Hobo. I haven't forgotten, but it's just so I don't forget. In 2010, 2009, there was a guy that like would pay me money and like would give me his Netflix to send movies to rip clips out and send the clips to him. I
Oh.
guess for his video or something.
Uh-huh.
And then I never saw those videos. I don't know what happened to him, but he sent me the money.
You're
And
like,
then
"I'll
this went
take the
on for
money."
like a month. And then I never heard from him again. He didn't complain. He didn't
Mm.
ask for the money back. It was just one of those like weird occurrences that just popped in my head when I think of like Netflix.
Uh,
That was like my introduction to Netflix because I
yeah,
never had
Netflix.
Netflix.
We had
We
Netflix,
go in the
and
mail.
we would get DVDs, and I remember seeing Sinjanor for the first time through Netflix, the DVD
Oh
rental
no.
service. The Fist of the North Star movie, and I remember actually losing it at a friend's house, so then my mom had to pay for it. Um, I remember that, and I remember when Deep Space was it? Yeah, Deep Space. That was actually streaming on Netflix. I remember when it was streaming on Netflix. I remember
Oh
telling you about that.
yeah,
And
you
nobody
told me
ripped
about it.
it
Yeah.
when it was on there, and it was only on there maybe for a brief amount of time. And I also remember when the Netflix website would have trailers. So you could watch a trailer for the movie with like the media player on the website before you rented it, which I think is still a good idea. And you can kind of do that a little bit with some of these apps that you might run across. Like with this media streaming box that I got called the Dune HD that I got from Amazon recently, it has this app that's tied into IMDb. So it'll actually show you like a background image of the movie, get a little bit of synopsis, a little bit of this and that. And then it's also tied into a YouTube app, which then will find the trailer. So you could technically, if you have like, the digital file on your USB drive or whatever, this app will recognize it and it'll have all this information. And then you could like watch a trailer afterwards, which I think is kind of cool.
Now you watch Velma.
This guy's gotta pay me. I
I'm not a fan
hate
of
the
that
ending.
movie.
I hate the ending.
I get what it's I get what it's trying to say. I get people go, not every movie has a happy ending. I get it. Happy endings don't happen all the time in real life. I get it. The acting is not the problem. It's just I don't care for not only how mean spirited it is, it's just not my cup of tea. But
It
also
comes
there's
out of
some
left
aspects I'm
field.
like,
It doesn't feel like it's earned. It just feels like, oh, it's a shock ending for the sake of a shock ending. That kind of thing.
yeah, and there's a lot of convenience sense that
Mhm.
oh, thank God they knew Jeff Bridges would act that way and crash through. Like, what if he stopped the vehicle outside? What if one of the cops were worth the crap and shot out the tires or did their jobs right? Or it seemed like, they were very lucky in that ending that happens. And I don't know. I get where they were going for it, but
What would you say is a better thriller for you with Jeff Bridges, Blown Away or Arlington Road?
Blown Away, I would rather watch. Because at
Jeff
least,
Bridges, I would rather watch, anything else other than those 2, like Starman again, which I watched
well,
again for the
yeah,
first time in years,
the Big
which
Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski, of course, or, even the '70s King Kong. But yeah, Starman, that was a film that took a bit to really win me over. Like, it kinda started out, as like, okay, it's interesting, John Carpenter doing something outside of his comfort zone. I like Karen Allen, and I like Jeff Bridges. There's some fun stuff here with an alien trying to be human. It did the whole learning to smile thing way better than Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, I
Um,
enjoy Starman quite a bit.
but once you get to the moment when they initially actually start to fall in love, and you have that whole bit where he says that he gave her a baby, when you found out that she was barren. Like, that's when it went from, like, oh, just kind of a fun road trip, sci-fi, romance, into something in the genre that was actually rather unique. Because that little twist there, I was like, "Okay, now you're starting to win me over." And then you get to the end of the movie when there's that goodbye, and I admit, I I cried. I really did. I cried at the end of that film. Because and I get choked up just kinda thinking about it, just because it was just a great way that Carpenter and everyone else involved with the movie showcased, Karen Allen's character finally through this crazy scenario, this out of this world situation, finding a way to say goodbye to her late husband because she never really had that opportunity because he died in an accident before she was able, she didn't have that option like other people have had when someone they know passes.
Real quickly in the chat, a lot of people are mentioning The Vanishing, which I haven't seen either version.
That's a pretty solid one too. The Vanishing. I think Sandra Bullock's also in that too, I think.
Yeah,
I think she's the one that
as
gets
a
kidnapped,
girlfriend
I
that's
believe.
missing.
Yeah.
Because I know the original was more downbeat, and the remake is a little bit more
The
upbeat at the
original is
ending.
good. The original is good.
Okay,
Depends on
I
like
haven't seen either.
what kind of ending you're a bigger fan of. I kind of like the remake
Mhm.
a little more because it's not as downbeat of an ending. Um, but you can definitely see where films like Buried, which is just a bad movie with Ryan Reynolds, you could see where that got its inspiration from when you see some of the
Oh yeah,
scenes in either version.
I
Explorers,
think I know my. Yeah, that was going to be my answer. Or Upgrade.
that's another one. That's another one for sure. Upgrade. Total system failure at
Explorers.
the end of the movie.
Explorers. The first two thirds. The way I look at it, is kind of
Magical.
it's Close Encounters for with kids, and the
Yeah.
fact that it's more. I don't know if I want to say more serious, but it's more like you say, heartfelt, magical,
It has Goonies
taking on this
vibes too.
journey.
It kind of has that Goonies
Yeah.
vibe to it with this group of kids going on an adventure with the coming of age elements. And yeah, the first half of that movie, the first hour of that film, great. Some of the best, stuff from that genre, in the 80s.
And then the alien talks, like Bugs Bunny, and I like the actor.
Mhm.
The actor is Robert Picardo, Inner
Mhm.
Space, but
Yeah.
the way it just changed tone, it was much more of a cartoony Joe Dante. You know what it is? The first hour is him trying to be a bit Spielbergian.
Yeah.
This did not need the Joe Dante touch. I know it's Joe
No.
Dante directing. The Joe Dante touch hurt it. Like that works for Inner Space with the crazy,
Mhm.
the people that get shrunk and all that. Like it fits in the tone. Martin Short going crazy. He's being very funny
I
when
mean, even the
dancing in
people
the
being
night or
shrunk,
whatever.
like I love Inner Space, but that's like one of the moments where I'm not really that big on. Like I think they could have done something else. It's a little
Right.
too goofy, even though there's a lot of goofy stuff going on in it. Like that
But it
seems
doesn't
like
ruin the ending like
no,
Explorers.
no, absolutely not. It's just such a
Like
letdown.
when
They
you
should have like
first
fought space pirates or something. Seriously. Keep with the Goonies aesthetics or something and they deal with space pirates. Or like you said, like some baseball game or whatever. Like something small
well,
town Americana simple.
well, I guess it depends. Like I think both your and my idea would be better than what they did. Because okay, like your idea is to have like an exciting adventure, a little bit like the Goonies type of
Mhm.
the escape through the pirate ship,
Mhm.
sloth. Hey, you
Yeah.
guys. And then my idea was more like thinking is more Close Encounters, where
Mhm.
I thought this is what I thought it was. I'll get to the super chats. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Just so I just don't forget because my memory is lousy. I thought it was going to be that the messages they were getting was from an orphan, lonely alien child.
Mhm.
and that this was his way to find some kind of contact. And so you have these kids that there's going to be all these grandiose moments, and they realize that what they have most important is their friendship compared to this individual who's lonely.
Yeah.
And then he got like one moment to be friendly, and then maybe from time to time they'll visit and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
for one moment for this preacher, and so they share like one. It could be. It doesn't have to be baseball. It could be any simple moment. I thought, okay, this is not the most exciting, but I thought that would really hone in the heart of the film. The three becoming friends, and this is what the journey was about: is these three becoming even
Mm-hmm.
more friends and together as a team and this adventure. I thought it was going in that direction, and then it became Looney Tunes, and that wasn't really my cup of tea.
Became like Muppets on crack. You know, like the worst elements of Gremlins 2.
Now, before I miss it, I mentioned we mentioned a little bit before, but the stuff you've heard from my review, the stuff you've heard from other reviews, I didn't even know it got praised, but apparently it did.
Yeah.
Your general thoughts on what you've heard, what you think, why are people thinking, like anything in between that comes to mind.
What I think about the film is it's an experimental film. I think it was based in a short film, which makes perfect sense. That got a bit of a budget and they decided to, put it together. And then I guess they thought they had the next Blair Witch project or something, or Paranormal Activity, and decided to, do some marketing for it. And I think a good chunk of the marketing actually wound up on TikTok. And so that's a big reason why the film wound up getting any hype, why the film even got a limited theatrical release, is because of the hype on TikTok, which I don't follow because fuck TikTok. I mean, do people realize that that shit is collecting your data and it's going directly to the fucking Chinese government? Do people really fucking understand that it was created by, you know, China, some algorithm that was created in China, but
I don't know what info they'll
you know,
gather. America's stupid.
well, I
Stop,
know
stop using
they're
TikTok.
trying to influence, Western culture. And
Mhm.
if you see what's going on with TikTok and how popular it is, well, that's kind of happening already. But
Someone asked about Skin Marine, what's up with that loud piercing ringing in that movie? I have no idea. I mean, Mike hasn't seen it, so he can't know.
you're telling me
I
about
don't
that, and I
know
got
what.
like a really good surround
Oh,
sound system. So I'm like, will that help or will that make it worse? I don't know.
I said like I forget what the timestamp I said.
It's
Be
like 30
prepared
something
because if you're
minutes,
wearing
like 50 something minutes.
yeah, there's at least twice it happens. You could go deaf.
Mhm.
It felt like it, and it's just like I'm not even going to try to replicate it. It just
Is it worse
because
than the most
everything's
annoying sound in the world by Jim
no,
Carrey?
because it's very quick. It's very quick and piercing because
Oh.
everyone's talking very quiet. Two kids whispering
Mhm.
very low, and then
Yeah.
imagine your sound going from here to here, and it's like
Oh,
a
so it's like
loud
feedback.
pierce.
So it's like a feedback, like when you have bad feedback from like a microphone and like you get that
Imagine
kind of
someone
thing.
imagine someone went up to you behind you and then had a whistle like right behind your
Oh,
ear, like real
yeah.
quick. I mean, it's like from 0 to 100,
Mhm.
and it could ring some
It just
ears.
sounds
So
like a
just
nothing.
be
Speaking of
prepared.
Zero, it just sounds like a nothing movie. Like there's not much of a plot. There's not much in terms of character development or anything. There's just a lot of experimental, artsy, attempts at being creepy and weird in terms of the cinematography and direction. And of course, there's a lot of talk about the subtext, which from what I've seen in the trailer and what I've heard from people, I'm like, what subtext? How can you even find any subtext in a movie when there's nothing and there's barely any dialogue that you could even discern. Um, but yeah, it sounds like a winner, Matt. It really does. It sounds like a new horror classic. Skinamarink. I mean, even the title, like Skinamarink Dinky Doo, Skinamarink Doo, I love you. Like,
Ridiculous. And then thank you, Opium.
you know what?
I
I
don't.
do like I do like a fair amount of Nostalgia Critics older reviews. Um, that's when he had passion. That's when he actually, gave a shit about playing the character because it was a new thing for him. And, he wasn't just doing it necessarily to pay the bills. He actually liked doing it. You can tell nowadays, especially after, Demo Reel failed, that he's doing it just to pay the bills. Like he doesn't really necessarily love the character or love playing the character anymore. That's where I think some of Doug's best reviews lately are ones where there aren't a lot of skits, which a lot that was really the case with a lot of his older videos. It was just him. There might have been a couple skits here and there with him doing different stuff, but it wasn't to the same extent as it is now with his whole cast of characters and his whole cast period of guest performers. So back then, like he would have some in jokes, he would do a few things, but a lot of it was just mainly him just reviewing the movie and maybe, having some funny, lines here and now or now and then. I would say his editorials are still some of his better content lately. Um, but yeah, you can just kind of tell that he's just playing this character just to continue to pay the bills. Similar to what's going on James Rolfe, like if you watch some of his older content as the nerd and you kind of compare it to now, like you can kind of see a similar sort of thing where he's still able to kind of tap into that, but not necessarily in the same way. And I kind of feel that way
Well,
about
also
Nostalgia Critic.
people don't realize that a big part of that character was Mike Matei.
Yeah.
He was an angry video game
Hmm.
nerd. He helped write it. He came up with the ideas. He played the games. He would core sim the games for James. He did
Hmm.
a lot of stuff. And when he left, you could tell there's a big step down.
Yeah. I mean, that's
And
why the episode that he helped write, The Last Ninja, that's one of the best nerd videos in a long time because Mike Matei was involved with it.
yeah, and I know some people don't like him. I have no issues. I always liked Mike Matei. I never had issues with him. And I get why he left because if this is the direction where who the hell bought or forget
Screenwave was
their
doing
name,
stuff.
yeah,
Was it?
and hacked the movies and whatever the hell.
And now they're no longer with James, which is good. That was a good move on his part because that was just going to continue to crater his channel even further, trying to be connected with those hacks. Um,
That, but I mean, right there,
yeah,
that's fine. I mean, that's there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's natural and it's real and it's simple. And
that's why with
to be
Nostalgia
honest,
Critic, when Doug just does his editorials, like that's more real stuff. Like he's not overacting, he's not doing, these skits. He's just, talking about a topic that he's passionate about and interested in. And, that's why I feel a lot of that stuff is his best work.
I think
And
the days. Yeah, go ahead.
also they're older. That's another thing to keep in mind. Both of them are older now. Don't have the same energy.
I want to say the days of people doing skits and characters are pretty much done. I think they were new and seemed refreshing for a while, but now when people, they go when you have anybody can do a stream or can do this and that, and it's just a lot of people want to know the real you. They don't want to know the character of you, and a
Hmm.
lot of people they just
I think it depends on
have
how
lost
you do
interest.
it. I think it depends on how you do it.
Mm.
Kadikarus is an example. He just hit 1 million subs, and I genuinely like his videos. And he's a very off the wall sort of character in his videos, but he does it in a very creative. strange, surreal way that's almost reminiscent of like Monty Python at times. So he has his own unique sort of style to it. So that works for me. And he's clearly playing like a stylized character version of himself. He does it in a way that's just very, very clever, and also his reviews of the games themselves are really well written, very detailed. He talks about all the different, controls and different levels and different stuff, and really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, sure, this is a bad video, but I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of bad
or
videos out there.
The Elmo review that he did.
Yeah, I mean, not every video is going to be a good video. Maybe that's why, when he did stuff like that, it's like, nope, I just want to play video games. Hey, that's where he's more fit into it. Maybe that's what James has to
It's
do,
just
but I get why
it
James doing it because it's,
yeah.
keeping the money
It's just
going.
like
I get
James
that.
himself, like Mike Matei's better at like playing games and conversing and doing whatever during the
Yeah,
gameplay, doing live commentary, whatever. James isn't as good at that kind of stuff. He's not
no.
good in a podcast environment. He's not good, doing live commentary, you know. I like the James
Yeah,
and
that's
Mike
true.
Mondays videos in a lot of ways more for Mike Matei and his reactions to the games that he's playing.
Well, I think Mike Matei could bring that out of James.
And
But,
he brought it out of James when he could, but there were a lot of times where
yeah,
James would just kinda just sit there and wouldn't really react or say much of
because
anything.
that's his real personality. Even if you look
Mhm,
at old footage of James, that was always his personality. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think people assume that the AVGN character was more like James than it really is.
mhm. Where with
And
the
there's nothing wrong
nostalgia
with that. It's just
critic,
like one of the things that happen.
I think that's probably closer to who Doug is as a personality. But, turned up to 11, of course, with this nostalgia critic persona.
By the way, hey, Primetime Podcast. We talked about this before, that trailer to You People.
Yeah, it just came out
Jesus.
on Netflix, and there was another trailer on Facebook, and there was some joke about, Jewish people again, and some kind of, controversial thing, and Jonah Hill talking about putting his ashes in a urinal at Dodger Stadium, and then his mom being like, "Oh, now you're gonna disgrace the Dodgers," that kind of comedy.
What? I mean, does Jonah Hill look like he's melting or something?
Melted crayon.
Yeah, it just, since 22 Jump Street, it looks like he's aged 20 years. I don't know what happened. It's like
I think it's a
a
combination of
tan.
him losing weight,
Okay.
losing a lot of weight, and then gaining some of it back, and then, maybe like you said, some like a tan or some kind of other stuff that he's been doing. I think he's got like blonde hair now and like, the beard. So maybe that. I thought he looked a little better, look wise, and his little bit that he had. I think that was him in uh Don't Look Up. I think he kind of looked a little bit better in that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that one, so I'll take your word for it. But I know you did
I like
review
that
it. You
film
did like
too.
it.
That was pretty good. Um I Oh yeah, I did review that one. I was like, did I actually record that video?
I
Nobody
thought you
watched it, but
did.
yeah. um but yeah, I like that was a good scathing satire of both sides. I think a lot of people didn't get that movie. I think they thought it was meant to be some sort of particular political target kind of movie, and it was actually poking fun at everybody. And I think that kind of went
Mm.
over some people's heads.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. Real quick, like, well, not quick, but it's hard to think of 10.
10,
And
yeah, it's
also, what
tough.
what creates a what's the definition of a buddy cop film? What I mean
Does
by
it have
that
to be
is,
cops?
Like I Come in Peace. Is that a buddy cop film? Like Shonen no Tokyo, is that a buddy cop film?
I would say Showdown is. There are two cops.
What about I Come in Peace?
I mean, they're two cops
It's a buddy
technically.
movie.
So I
One's a
mean,
cop, one's FBI.
mhm.
But I mean, I don't know what order, but I know Tango and Cash would be in the
Oh,
list.
way up there for me. Love
That
that
definitely be in
film.
the list. In a top 10 list. Lethal Weapon
Mhm.
would be on the list somewhere. Shoto Tokyo, I'll put in there because I really enjoy that one. Screw it, my list. I'll put I Come in Peace because my list.
I like that film a lot too.
Screw it's my list as well. I'll put Split Second because I grew up with that film. I'll put it on my list.
Mhm.
Bad Boys 1 and 2, I really enjoy. I like 3, but I like the first two more.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like those as well.
I mean, see, now I'm trying to. What would some be on your list? It's hard to think, like, because
Well, I
I know
mean,
I'm going
those
to be missing
ones,
stuff.
like those ones that you mentioned, definitely would be on there. And it is hard because there's a lot of them, but there's a lot of buddy cop movies that are just kind of, not really, you know, bad, but not really like great or amazing. So, I mean, you got
Like,
the some of the Lethal Weapon sequels, those
okay,
are
so
pretty good.
does 48 Hours count because one's a criminal and one's a cop?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There's that dynamic that's, what you see in a buddy cop kind of thing, but they're not really cops. So Rush Hour, I think that would probably count, right?
Yeah,
Um,
The Hard Way.
The Hard Way,
It's a
that's an
fun
underrated
one.
one with
It's a fun one.
Michael J. Fox and James Woods.
I probably put that in my top 10. The Hard Way, probably a little bit lower.
Hmm.
I did like Rush Hour. My favorite's Rush Hour 2.
Drive?
Well, again, the ones they're not really cops. I don't think
Yeah,
Kadeem Hardison's not a cop. He's just
yeah,
a guy. I don't think Mark is a cop either. It's a
yeah.
buddy movie, but they're not
Hmm.
cops at all in it.
Yeah.
People mention like Red Heat, the Glamour Man, the other guys, Running
The other guys, I
Scared. There's a
think, is
lot of good
definitely
ones.
underrated. I think that's a definitely underrated one because I'm not super big on Will Ferrell most of the time or Mark Wahlberg, but I didn't
Yeah,
mind
me
both of
either.
them in that, and I think it's a fun satire parody of a lot of different action movie cliches and stuff
I'm
like that.
laughing because of the scene where Sam Jackson and The Rock jump,
Yeah.
and that shot where and they just land and it doesn't cut. Like
Yeah.
that was pretty hilarious. And Michael Keaton talking about
Yes.
before, he's definitely good in that.
He stole the
What was it
show
with
in that movie.
waterfalls?
This is like he's like first off, peacocks can't fly. He's like, I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly in this one, Captain. Peacocks can't fly. He's like, don't go chasing waterfalls. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's it.
That's from TLC. No, it's not. Or the fact that he works at Bed Bath and Beyond on the side as his like side job, and then he has this whole speech with his employees at Bed Bath and Beyond. It's like be careful when you go out tonight. Uh, there's been a lot of rapes, and don't forget your rape whistle. And then it was like, oh, sorry. I got it mixed up. I got it mixed up with my other job. But there's some good news. The new bath mats are in.
Now, before I forget, I don't know what this is.
I don't
E-bombs.
remember. I don't remember E-Bombs World. I know other
I don't know what
people
that
my
is.
age do. It was just some kind of like video or like internet page where they showed videos on it, but then you also had like games. I think I remember playing games on E-Bombs World briefly when I was younger more than anything else, if I'm thinking of the right place. Um, but yeah, it was kind of like where things went viral before YouTube. It's a similar sort of thing to, you'retheman.com or whatever that was, which is
Yeah, I
based
don't
on a
remember any of
really
that.
early internet meme with Sean Connery saying "You're the man." Yeah.
No,
For a lot of people, it's like the history of the internet, like memes and stuff. People are like, "What? What the hell?" I would recommend if you're into that kind of stuff and you just want to learn about a lot of like early internet memes and stuff like that. Check out Wang's channel. Like he's a really talented, fun internet historian who's done a lot of fun videos. Uh, and some of them about some pretty disgusting, crazy shit. But he does it in a way that makes it more easy to stomach because he's such a good host.
yeah, that was far. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I didn't remember any of that. So this is news to me. So, people, have you missed anything? Well, I mean, you just got it. Well, it's been 2 hours of talking about Velma and talking about all
Cancel
sorts of other stuff,
culture.
cancel culture. Uh, yeah, a lot of stuff. Buddy cop movies, all sorts of stuff. Skinamarink.
It's crazy about buddy cop movies. I think one of the first ones is technically that Hickey and Boggs movie, with Bill Cosby,
Hmm.
which I still haven't seen, but I know that's technically one of the first.
Yeah, that's true. Trying to think. Let's see, going through it. Mr. Cool's asked in your favorite gender switch movie. I don't know if I have a favorite of that.
It's kind of a guilty pleasure genre of mine. So I've seen a fair amount of them. Too many of them tend to, be like really into, just kind of porn territory. I like Switch with Ellen Barkin because Ellen Barkin
I
is
didn't mind that
excellent in
one.
that. Depressing ending, but still, I still don't mind that movie. I liked one called Sam, which Mel Brooks' son directed. It was sweet. It was
Hmm.
a sweet little low budget rom com with a nice little heart to it. Um, I liked. I do have a guilty pleasure when it comes to Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde because that was probably like the first one I saw with Tim Daly and Sean Young.
Hmm.
I remember checking that out when I was a kid on VHS from like the local library, and I'm surprised that hasn't gotten released from like Vinegar Syndrome or something. It's a weird enough movie. It's obscure enough. It hasn't really had a good DVD release, at least not in widescreen. I think it's by the same guy who directed Children of the Corn 2, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I mean, I'll mention one. Of course, this is a new one. Freaky with Vince
Yeah, that's a
Vaughn. I
good
did
one
like that
too. That's
movie.
that's a fun one. That's a fun gender swap movie. That actually felt like a fresh slasher movie because of like the gender swap take on it.
Yeah, I did like that one. That came out in
I don't
2020.
think it needed a
So,
4K collector's edition by Scream Factory so soon, but
well, Scream Factory just, other than like Dr. Diggles, there's not much of the releases are
Ouija.
like, they've kind of fallen off for
I
me,
think I
Scream
might have
Factory. I like,
joked about like what's next. Are they gonna do a collector's edition of fucking Ouija? Like I wouldn't be surprised if like in the past you or I joked about that and we weren't even being serious.
it wouldn't have been me. I would not have even remembered Ouija. So, but you probably said it.
I remember Ouija solely for some of like the lamest attempts at jump scares, like the whole burner being oh my god, he left the burner on. Oh god, it's the scariest shit ever.
Yes, Total Meltdown. One of the worst gender swap would be the hot chick with Rob Schneider.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's pretty bad.
I've seen pretty much all of them. I've seen Cleo Leo, which was kind of like Switch, but like a low budget version in the 80s.
Hmm.
Um, there's a Disney Channel one called The Swap. There was another one that was like the hell was that one called? The Sex Trip or whatever? Yeah, that was more like
Hmm.
it's like a porn. That kind of thing.
Neopunk, I have not seen The Mirror's Two Faces. I've heard of it. I know that Barbara Streisand's in it. I think Jeff Bridges.
I think I saw it like
I haven't.
once with my mom because she was into rom-coms when I was a kid. And I was like, yeah, I can't really choose what to watch most of the time, to kind of just sit there or watch whatever my mom wanted to watch. So if I wanted to spend time with her, so sometimes do that, or while you were sleeping was another one, right? With Sandra, I think Sandra Bullock was in that with Bill Pullman, I think.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. Primetime podcast asking any of y'all Jay Briscoe fans. I'm so out of wrestling. I didn't know who that was, so I didn't watch him.
I
So
I haven't really seen a lot of him. I know he recently won, was it a Ring of Honor title? And he made it like a tribute to his, I think it was his dad or his uncle or someone. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% connected with it either, but I know, um, yeah, he recently won a title, I think, or it might have
well,
been
Jay
his son that
Briscoe
won the
recently
title.
died.
Oh, it was his son. I was thinking about another Briscoe because there was a Briscoe who's wrestling now, who's still
Yeah, and he
alive, that
died.
won a title. He won a title recently, actually.
Well,
He didn't
he this one
die.
died January 2023.
Yeah, one of them died,
So it
and
might
then
be
I
the
think
same one.
no, I think it was a different one because this guy won a
Oh,
title, and
okay.
then he made it a tribute to
Oh,
I think it might have
maybe
been
his
his
brother or something.
father or brother. I'm not in the loop
See,
really with
that's how
wrestling that
little I
much.
know
I know they're doing the
because I
Royal
don't follow
Rumble.
wrestling.
I know the Royal Rumble is happening again. I know there were rumors about The Rock coming back to end Roman Reigns' 3-year long title run. Yeah, he's had the title for 3 years. The
And
longest
no
amount of
F's were
time
given.
that any wrestler has ever held the title is belongs to Roman Reigns. Which is crazy.
And I,
He was the guy who was getting all this shit like for years. Oh, he's not good. He's not good enough. He sucks. He's bad on the mic. He's just like John Cena, 5 moves of doom, blah 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 blah. Blah. Then he becomes a heel, like way way late in his run, and then it goes off so well with the marks that now they're like, oh yeah, he can hold the title for however long he wants.
okay, there
Yeah,
you go.
Mark Briscoe is his brother. There we go.
Well, I mean, nowadays because no one watches it anymore, so they don't care. Either they're more interested in Vince McMahon and where WWE's going to be sold, or if it's going
Yeah,
to be sold. They're more interested in that than what's in the ring.
because the rumor was that The Rock was going to come back and he was going to end his title run. But The Rock, like, there's been stuff that's come out that The Rock, he's out of shape. He can't do it. But I'm like, The Rock shouldn't do it anyway. He hurt himself so bad. Part of his
The
fucking
Rock isn't
intestine.
out of shape.
The part
He just got
he
into
hurt
shape for the Black Adam and stuff. He's not
his
out of shape.
well, a different kind of shape, but he shouldn't do it anyway because
Well,
the last match he had with John Cena, he could have seriously hurt himself. He did seriously hurt himself. Like I think part of his colon was sticking out of his asshole or some shit. Like it was really bad.
good to know.
I know it was bad though. Like he was his
He needs
intestine
maybe he needs some
or
colon
something.
blow.
Colon blowing you in the morning.
Yeah, I
Good
know. I
old
know shape
SNL
is
commercial
working for I
parody.
know.
That is one of my favorites in terms of an SNL commercial parody, just of how absurd it is. The narration and then Phil Hartman, just great.
But no, The Rock should not do it because he should just Here's what. Okay, they did in WWE. Here's what they don't realize: the more times you bring them back, the less special it is, and the less special it is, the less people don't care because it's not this once in a lifetime event. It's
Yeah.
just another Tuesday.
It's like
Oh,
when
Stone
they
Cold Steve Austin is going to have another match. He just had. They just saw that.
yeah,
Or it feels like they just saw it. It's not special anymore.
it was
It's
special when Stone Cold did come back that one time, but like you said, yeah, it you keep doing it. It's like when Goldberg kept coming back. It was initially special for a little bit, and then it just got to the point where it's like, can we just stop? And I'm a big fan of Goldberg, and I've defended him against all these who can't wrestle, is shitty, blah blah blah. But like, yeah, it did get to the point where even I was like, I don't want to see him anymore. Like, stop. Especially when he's hurting
Mhm.
himself and he's hurting other people. It's like with the Undertaker. It got to the point with the Undertaker where it would just got way past the point when he should have retired, and it made his whole big retirement ceremony this big deal that was at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, and it was supposed to be this big whole thing in his hometown, and then it just cheapened that whole thing and made what was a lame match even lamer in retrospect because it didn't really have much weight to it. And then, with John Cena and coming back and showing his bald spot, which have you seen that photo? He's got a shiner there.
I think Under I think Undertaker came back recently. I thought.
Yeah, he came back. He came back for like a little moment on Raw 30, like the 30th anniversary of Raw, and came back as the American Badass and said some words to Bray Wyatt. And I'm like, this is people are like, oh my god, and I'm like, why is it that special? You've seen the Undertaker a million times. He's come back. He's retired. He's come back again. And he's already, it's not like he hasn't wrestled Bray Wyatt. He did. He did that already. He did that at WrestleMania. So what is even so special about that moment? Oh, he's in the ring with Bray Wyatt again. It's not the first time ever.
I can't answer that. Can't answer that. No, it's not premiering not from the Royal Rumble today. We're talking about just all the stuff in WWE.
I wouldn't be surprised if Stone Cold comes out like at the Royal Rumble.
I just don't care because I don't care about wrestling anymore. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't know if it's I've grown out of it
I think
or
one
I've
of the
just gotten
best
tired of it.
wrestling things that I watched wasn't even WWE related. It was AEW. It was like their first pay per view. The match that uh, Dustin Rhodes had, with the Gold Dust, he had with his brother Cody. Like that was a phenomenal match. And the cinematic match that Sting had in AEW, which I think
Hmm.
was like his first match technically, but it was cinematic. That was pretty awesome with him and is it Darby? Yeah, Darby Allen, is that who it is? Um, but yeah, that was fun because I'm a huge Sting fan, so it was like, oh, that was kind of badass. That was cool. You got to see the Undertaker Boneyard sort of match, sort of thing with Sting, which is what WWE should have done anyway with an Undertaker Sting match. Just made it cinematic. They really dropped the ball with that.
Hey there, man. Yeah, good guy. He was streaming GoldenEye. I told him on the stream I never played the game, but I've heard a lot of good things. And also, I did review. There's a good documentary on the game called Golden Era on Tubi. But yeah, definitely for folks out there, if you like the streaming of games, he's really good at that. Um, did you ever
Speed of
play Nintendo
games,
64?
I did. I had a Nintendo 64. I did play some GoldenEye at a friend's house a few times, but I had my own. But we didn't really have a lot of major games. I only had like a handful of games for it. And I remember playing Space Invaders on the Nintendo 64 the most.
Hmm.
I still have some nostalgia for that version of that game for that reason alone. There was some battle tank game which I could never figure out, which it was shitty. Um, yeah, I didn't have a lot for the Nintendo 64. Um, I played more of like the original Nintendo growing up, or like the Xbox. And speaking of the Xbox, like I played a lot of Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, and Steam does have a version on there which I did buy, but the controls don't work. You can't use the controller. Like it's such an old game that you can't use like a newer controller to work with the controls for the Steam version. You have to use your keyboard and mouse,
Really?
and that sucks. Yeah. There are
Is
some
it? I
games on
mean,
Steam where you can't use a controller on these games
hmm,
because they're so old or something. It's ridiculous. So I had to
that's
use the
strange.
PlayStation 2 emulator to play the game
Hmm.
with my controller. Because I got a
Okay.
because it was a I had a 360 controller. I thought I could be able to use it with with my PC because I read something that you could, but Windows pretty much made it so you can't do that anymore. So I
Windows did
wound up
this.
yeah, so I wound up buying this third party controller that's basically a 360 controller. I mean, it looks exactly like one, but it has like an
Mm-hmm.
adapter you can put into the USB port and you could use it
Hmm.
as, controller. But, when you're doing PlayStation games on an emulator, it's this isn't a PlayStation controller. So
Right.
there's a little bit of an adjustment because I didn't really use a lot of PlayStation controls. So I was able to change the controls though to make it so I could make it work. But picture quality isn't as good, but it's still playable. So yeah, it's an emulator. It's called PC, I think X2 or something. PC SX2 or whatever, something like that.
Okay.
And I
So,
will
yeah.
probably be able to do more gameplay, videos in the future with that emulator because I know there's RoboCop, the Titus RoboCop is also on PlayStation 2.
Someone mentioned a virtual machine. I don't know if that would do anything or if
I've
that's.
heard about that. I've tried to use that one time to try to run an old MS DOS like sightings. It's not really a game; it's an encyclopedia. That's a tie into the show Sightings, which I don't even know if anyone in this chat even remembers that show. I'm probably alone on that. There you go. I
Thank you,
couldn't get it
David.
to work. I couldn't get the virtual machine to work. I tried a bunch of different things. It didn't work. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. If I don't know anything about that, for me, I just have to go find the actual PS2 game and get it
Yeah.
then and there.
If you can
Which
find a
do you have a?
copy of that game for cheap, like that would be a fun thing to see you play. Would be the Indiana Jones game.
So you don't own any PlayStation, just Xbox?
Yeah, just Xbox.
Which Xbox?
I have the original and the 360.
Cool.
Troy has the Xbox
And
One, but it's not
and what
mine.
was RoboCop on?
So original Xbox, and it's also on PlayStation 2.
So do
Yeah,
you have the RoboCop, or you need to play an emulator?
I had it, but I got rid of it because I was like, this fucking shit. Get this shit out of here.
What was it about you didn't like that you can remember?
So many things. For one, there's no fucking checkpoints, and these levels are incredibly long most of the time. So that's incredibly frustrating because you have to remember like way too much in terms of which way to go, and it doesn't help either that the map is shit, so it doesn't really do much to help you. So it's like, oh, I have no checkpoints, so there's not really. I have to basically memorize what direction I need to go here or go next, and the map is shitty, like I was saying. So that doesn't really do much to help you. Um, the controls are kind of finicky and annoying, especially when you're trying to zoom in, because for some reason, like he has to like snipe people, which I get it. You know, he did that in RoboCop 2 where he shot the guy through the eye through the the sight. But
Yeah.
you know, you got to use like the controller you got to press down on one of the analog sticks, and sometimes it's really really sensitive in terms of like when you do it. So sometimes there's a lot of just annoying shit where it'll go in
Seems
and
very
out.
slow.
It is very slow. That too. Um, and there are enemies that are just varied in really frustrating ways in terms of difficulty. You'll have some enemies that like, oh, you just shoot whatever, no problem, mow through them, no big deal. Then you'll have some enemies that will just fucking kill you in like one hit and are either impossible to kill or incredibly difficult to kill. In particular, there's these enemies that like they shoot these energy blasts at you in this one level. I fucking hate those things. It's just one hit, you're dead. And then because there's no checkpoints and there's no continues, see that's the other thing. When you die, you have to start over from the beginning of the level every single time. So you have to go through this shitty mess or this maze of these levels that have shitty directions and these enemies that are varying in terms of, you know, power levels. There's no checkpoints, no continues. And then on top of that, you have to do these clunky controls and just irritating attempts at trying to be funny, I guess, or having one-liners, and it's just embarrassing. You'll shoot somebody, and then it'll it'll you'll just have RoboCop randomly sound like the Kool-Aid Man. You'll shoot somebody with the sniper, shoot him in the head, and it'll be like, "Oh yeah!" Like, "Oh no, don't do that. Do not do that anymore, please." There's some there's some fun. I mean, they do good job with the power ups. You know, like one of your health is like baby food. You know, like they're kind of tying into the franchise in that way. But man, it's a rough one.
Well, I mean, the
It's a
World
pretty
Cup
bad game.
game wasn't that the same guys who did Superman 64?
Yes, it was Titus. It was the last game they did before they went under.
Someone mentions maybe some of the remapping. Someone else
I
mentioned like
try
there's a Logitech.
I saw a forum that listed that, but then I saw other people on Reddit and other places basically say not gonna work, can't do it because it
Hmm.
just doesn't have support for the current Windows generation or the current Windows system.
Yeah, emulation's always got its bugs and issues. Even with Steam, it's just
Hmm.
that's why if you always can try to find it on physical, it's always the better bet
Because I've
because you
seen
always
people
don't have.
say that with the Steam version of Indie, like the controls, like they tried remapping it, they tried doing this, but it wasn't mapped correctly, and it just wouldn't work
Hmm.
on a modern Windows platform.
Yeah,
So I guess PS2 emulator it is.
it's. I'm sure there's a lot of games on Steam that have gone through those same type of things where because it wasn't meant for that to begin with, so there's issues that abound.
I mean, I could learn the
Even like
PC controls, but man, that shit already frustrated the fuck out of me. I don't know how people do it. Press Z and then C to move, and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this.
no, it's not point and click. It's like
Mm-mm.
a Tomb Raider type of
Hmm.
not well, I guess platformer in
Well,
a
there is
way, but
platforming in it,
yeah.
and there are some annoying
And
stuff in that game. Like, there's some annoying, if you don't have the cheats on, like when you're doing the Cylon level and you're in the water and you have to deal with this big ass crocodile, and it'll kill you in one kill, and then you kind of have to backtrack, and In order to get it to like leave you alone, you have to do this big, like complicated thing where you have to jump from one platform to the next and do all this other shit to get to this other place where then you have to trick the
Mm.
crocodile into going from one direction into this room where you lock it in there. And if you lock the crocodile in there successfully, then you can, fall into the water and not have it eat you. But it breaks out at the end of the level anyway. So you still have to deal with the fucking heart in your throat suspense of, oh shit, gonna fucking get, god damn it, I'm almost done with this level. I looked it up, man. Like it is an X input. I think that's what it is. It's a Xbox 360 third party controller.
And yeah, I mean, with the internet, there's a lot of things where there's a lot of false information as well. So you never know, or it's not false, but also don't a lot of some of those themes like they get updates that screw things up,
Yeah, I've heard
or
some
am
things
I
about that
wrong?
too.
Maybe
It
I'm wrong
happens with
about that. I don't
it
use
happens
Steam a lot.
some things. Like I know when some software updates, you're like, for instance, I used to record audio with my video editor, but ever since they've been doing new updates, the recording quality has just been worse and just been shitty. So now I use Audacity.
Is it funny how they update to be better and then it gets worse? It's like YouTube.
Yep.
So I think they do updates and it just gets worse. Hey, you know those things where you can message people?
Uh-huh.
Nah,
Nah, get rid of direct
not gonna get rid of
messaging
that.
because nobody uses it. Because people just are they're on their phones. People watch most of their YouTube content and things like that. They don't watch it on the PC. They watch it on their phone when they're on the toilet.
Exactly.
It's a downgrade.
Down to the
We
fucking
used to be able
toilet.
to personalize our channels
Oh yeah, I remember that.
in ways that were a lot more unique than just a thumbnail than just your profile picture and your background photo.
There might be people in the chat that don't remember or know that where back in the day with YouTube, you could have a thing on over here to list your
Mhm.
likes, your dislikes, what movies you're into, what movies you're not into. Uh, you do have a background, like a wallpaper background on your YouTube channel to however you see fit.
Mhm.
You could do
Change the
response
color
videos or
scheme,
actually add them. Yeah,
and you could change the
change the
color
text.
scheme.
Yeah, on your YouTube is very. There's a lot of freedom. Sally, I mean, more uniform
And
now.
what I've heard with YouTube as well is like, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing that you and I aren't like super big because a lot of these bigger YouTubers, they can't swear. They can't do a lot of this other stuff or they're like immediately demonetized. So it's like
Right.
for the most part YouTube they don't really care. They don't care about. We're not big enough. So, you know, we can we
Unless,
could
unless we use footage, and then they
cuss.
care.
Yeah, well yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after getting bought
Yeah, after
by
Google bought it.
Google,
Yep, that
Google
was
Tube, Google Tube.
that was it. No, yeah, there's some people who's like, "Oh, if I swear, automatically I lose the demonetization." So they just don't swear anymore.
Fuck, fuck. You shit. That's what they need to do. They need to do shit. Where that guy is. I forgot what
The
show it was on.
algorithm would still think that that's a swear probably. It
Yeah.
just doesn't have the same ring to it when you hear like people bleeping, it's a bleep or whatever when they're, trying to do a rant or whatever.
I mean, there are other platforms. Rumble is one that seems to be catching a little bit of steam, but I don't know
BitChute didn't
because
do go anywhere.
no, I mean it's still around, but it's very Rumble. I tried Rumble a little bit. It's actually pretty good.
Okay, that's the first
Um,
time I've heard of that one.
Yeah, Rumble, because I watched like a video and it played very well and it seems easy to set up.
Was it in
And I know
HD?
like
Because that's the other thing with BitChute. Like they couldn't even play HD video.
I think Rumble could. It seemed like it to me. Yeah, that's definitely yeah. All yeah, headquartered in Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for folks out there, definitely. I used it for a little bit. Didn't seem that bad at all. It seemed
Hmm.
like it worked better than BitChute. I'll say that. Someone mentioned
Yeah.
Odyssey. That's one. Yeah, I think of the ones I've seen, Rumble has potential. It's just YouTube is such a known thing that
Yeah.
understandably people are so used to it, and
Hmm.
you have to make people do not get used to it. And it's very hard for you to tell them when it's been how many years now? 2005, 6
I
to
know
now.
we've been on the platform for over a decade. I know that.
Yeah, in various forms. Um, I don't know why. I just randomly fuck you, Stefan Peter. For that'll be in Joe for anyone who gets it. Good job. If not,
Oh, the keep. Which, by the way, will never come out on Blu-ray because of Michael Mann. That's another thing I basically heard from an inside source. Michael Mann still, I guess, has the rights, still has enough power, and every time anything gets close, he's just like, no. So the rumors are true. It's due to Michael Mann. It's Michael Mann's fault.
it's not that bad of a movie, especially some of the stuff he's done,
I
like
know.
Black Hat,
Or Miami Vice.
the movie.
Let's take
Show's
one of the
good. The
most
movie's not.
colorful, one of the most fun, one of the most exciting TV shows out there, and let's turn it into a dull, sour, just meandering, mediocre mess. It's like over 2 hours.
Let me check real quick. 2005. He's been here 2006. Same boat as us. Uh, we were reviewing next door. We're talking about the Keep Michael Mann film that Sally won't ever get released because Michael Mann is an idiot or butthurt for some reason. Someone watched the menu. Mike hasn't seen it. I didn't mind it. I thought it
I do
was
want to see it.
interesting
I've
at
been hearing a
least.
lot of good things about it. I know it's like a dark comedy, and I love those kind of comedies when they're done right. And I've heard it's done rather well. So definitely on my list of
Yeah,
for films to watch from 2022. I mean,
and yes, I would rather watch. Yeah, go ahead.
it's definitely got to be better than Hocus Pocus 2 or The Munsters.
Those are awful. You saw them
Yes, yes, I
finally.
finally did see them. Oh, Hocus Pocus 2 was worse than I thought it was going to be just because of just how outright disrespectful it was to, the legacy of the first movie. Let's
Wait, a
make the
sequel that
Sanderson sister.
disrespects.
I
Wait, a
know.
sequel
Let's
that
make
disrespects is that's unheard of.
and it's
A
a
sequel to
Disney movie?
disrespect.
They made the Sanderson sisters, who were ruthless child eaters, into sympathetic villains in Hocus Pocus 2.
Yeah, they're not that bad.
I know.
They're misunderstood.
Bullshit.
They they're just trying to eat children, but they're misunderstood.
It's fucking stupid. And then the whole thing where they expect people to buy that everyone in the town of Salem in the 90s completely forgot what happened that one Halloween night, except for that one black kid who grew up to be the guy who runs the fucking museum memorabilia shop or tour or whatever the hell it was. That one guy is the only one that remembered anything out of everyone who was involved in that scenario. And the fact that they flat out ignored
You're not
the
supposed to
original
think.
cast. The original, like, you ignored Allison
Yeah,
Shaw's character and Omri Katz's character and Thora Birch's character, like, they didn't even fucking exist, but, Billy Butcherson is there, but everyone else is like, "Oh, they weren't there, they didn't exist." And that pisses me off even more because it's like they didn't even give them, like, a mention. Like, I thought maybe they might "Oh, they're married, blah, 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 have a kid, do, 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 do."
because
No,
they would
nothing.
overshadow these new boring characters.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the new
And
characters are boring as hell.
I don't understand why they thought fans would wanna see fans wanna see a Hocus Pocus sequel where the Sanderson sisters have not played these characters for so long that other than Bette Midler, it's just sad just trying to see them play these roles and just forced attempts at trying to be, kooky and funny and ooky. Like, for example, like Sarah Jessica Parker, she was full of legit energy in the first movie. This was pathetic. Whatever she was trying to do here. It was sad. It was sad to watch her try to channel that youthful energy
Yeah, she's
from the
full of
first movie.
high,
Yeah,
full of high of something.
exactly. Bette Midler still seemed like she was, relatively the same. Kathy Najimy, I don't know, she kind of lost something. Um, they tried to do homages. Like they had like a scene where somebody is watching the original Hocus Pocus, where I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like now it's a movie within the universe of Hocus Pocus. What?
Trying to be meta or something
And
like that.
they do the whole thing with the brooms. Like the joke, oh, we don't have the broom, so we got to use a vacuum cleaner. But this time it's fucking Roombas or some shit.
Yeah, she's Kathy and Jimmy standing on like two of them, trying to make her float in the sky, and it's like
Fucking
doing this similar
stupid.
plot as the first one because it's like a
The black
sequel, but it's
flame
playing off like a
candle.
remake.
Like, why did the black flame candle work again? Like, they were dead. Like, why did they get resurrected again just because somebody lit the black flame candle and happened to be a
Because
virgin?
someone signed the checks. Someone signed the checks for this to get made. Nostalgia.
But I
Supposed to
mean, even
love
with
it,
the
Mike, because it's
nostalgia thing,
nostalgia.
it's like you didn't bring back the original cast. Like, that just seems like an obvious choice, doesn't it? If you want to get
But, but what if
nostalgia
they
bucks.
did and made them losers,
Yeah, that
or
would suck.
or die, or do
Yeah.
nothing, and these little
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
dumber and dumbest, have to help?
Yeah. That is a good point. But I just feel for, for example, Omri Katz, because he expressed a ton of interest in doing this and was even like saying, I'll come out of retirement and do it,
Yeah.
because it really did mean a lot to him. And for Disney just to be
Mhm.
like, out to the hand, bye, we're not interested.
Disney doesn't care about something? Wow. Surprised and shocked.
Yeah,
They,
that film was
they definitely
awful.
don't care about their
The Munsters
finances.
was that might be Halloween Ends
The
pissed me
monsters?
off more, so that probably might still be the worst. But Munsters is way up
Right.
there. Just wow.
You didn't
It's
like Herman Munster's
it
acting?
is like it
That
is
guy?
like being locked in a room with your uncle just saying bad puns for like 2 hours. And you're just like fake laughing the entire time and just trying to humor him. Just be like that was a good one, Unc. Yeah. Oh God, get me out of here.
Hocus Pocus. No, no, yeah.
Ah, that's probably close to reality.
Yeah, Sally. And the monsters are like a bad SNL skit.
Yes. Yes.
Went on too long, no story. Like, was there
Not
really,
really.
other
No.
than the two getting together, fall in love for some reason,
Mhm.
and then there's really no story, kind of just rambled.
No. just rambly, just nonsense, and then like it just ends abruptly. Yeah, porno parody. Yeah.
That's what Rob Zombie should have done instead.
The color
Be more in
scheme,
his
I mean, is
wheelhouse.
colorful. The lighting is, a little too garish though at times, a little too reminiscent of Creepshow, but not done in really the same fashion.
Just rewatch Creepshow.
Or just watch Creepshow the series because even the worst episode is better than than the monsters. And it just got the monsters wrong. Like the monsters were campy because I actually, one of my jobs, there was this gal who was coming up to the counter, and she had like a monsters, like the I forgot her name already. The wife, the Marilyn Munster. Is that who it is? The
I'm not good with names.
the character
I
that
do.
that
Sarah Moon Zombie played her in
Sarah Moon
this.
Zombie played. So she had like her like a patch of her on her jacket. And I talked to her about the Monsters movie, and she was like, that was awful." And I'm like, "Yeah, it was terrible." Like even like a diehard, because she has like the patch on her jacket, and even she was like, "That sucked." The Monsters. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is really really bad, but there are some elements in that I would say, are a little better. I mean, there's like one kill, for instance, in Halloween 2 that's better than anything in the Munsters when he, stomps the guy's head in.
That's tough because I hate them for different reasons.
Mhm.
I think if I was a diehard fan of the Munsters, because I didn't
I'm
watch the
not
show,
really
I know the
either.
show. Uh, I would say the Munsters is more boring.
Yeah, see,
Definitely
that's
more
the thing.
boring of a
That's
movie.
why I think it's worse. That's why I'd rather, Halloween 2 is upsetting and pisses me off, but it has this sort of train wreck quality at times that is kind of more entertaining in a masochistic way than the Munsters, because the
The
Munsters
one
isn't even
thing I like,
entertaining in a train wreck
yeah,
way. It's just boring. It's so deathly dull.
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I do like Brad Dourif as the sheriff.
Yes. Yeah, he's good
I
in that.
can't say I like anybody in the Munsters.
No. Like even the guy
Not
who
a
plays
single person.
grandpa, like he's trying,
He's the
you know,
he's the best
yeah.
of all of them, but it's
And like even the
just
Herman
like yeah,
Munster guy, like I think if the actor who played him, if they just
was
wrote
changed.
that character in a way, I don't even think necessarily. Because the
I thought
Munster,
he was
like Herman
terrible.
Munster, he was bad, but I don't
He's
think
terrible in every way.
the script didn't give him many favors. It really didn't
No,
help
but
him
it is.
at all.
Yeah.
But he was still pretty bad, especially that laugh. Like you know what he reminded me of, and this is a very deep cut. Like I don't think most people in the chat are even gonna remember this, but he reminded me of when in Living Color, Keenan Ivory Wayans, he would do an impression of Arsenio Hall. And he would do a parody of Arsenio's laugh, and it would be like over the top. That's what Herman Munster
Mm.
in the Munsters reminded me of. The whole like oh, ho, 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 ho," it was that kind of thing. It really reminded me of that, and so I was expecting like Herman Munster to turn around and do that Cape Fear parody, be like Eddie, we're gonna party all the time. Yeah, I better keep those DVDs because that show's never going to be streaming ever. Because was rewatching season one. There were some skits in that. Man, a lot of people would not be happy today about the content and the kind of jokes. They'd be like, "That's
Well, maybe if they
sexist."
Well, maybe if Keenan tells them they're racist, maybe they'll show it.
Because
Either
he had
show it or
that,
you're racist. We can always pull that.
yeah, because he had this one skit that even I was like, whoa. It was like this whole skit where like a white guy took this like it was like this hair formula called the Grecian formula, and like it made him black with like an afro. Yeah. Or there's stuff where they would think is sexist, like the parody of the tampon ad where it's called Vortex or whatever, and the absorbency is so strong that it sucks up the entire pool. Yeah, that was funny. Colt 45. Jim Carrey though, he's the one like he killed me. He still kills me in that show. Like he didn't really have a lot of roles initially for like the first few episodes, but then he started to get more. And then like the first like main skit that he was in was just an instant classic where he played this karate teacher, this self-defense. He's teaching this self-defense class, and he's such an incompetent like moron at it. And it's just hilarious because of just how good Jim Carrey is at physical comedy. Oh, it is the same guy.
I didn't know that either.
Good. I'm glad I know that now. I'm glad I didn't record my rant yet because that's a perfect thing to throw in there.
And the answer, no, there's not going to be not anytime soon.
No,
International was such a bomb. If they
they should have
tried,
done the 21 Jump Street crossover. That's what they should have done instead of
as
International.
as weird as it would have been better than Men in Black International.
I think it would have had a potential to make more money too, because it would have been like, oh, this is different. I like the 21 Jump Street movies, and I like Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are funny. Yeah, I understand, the music rights and stuff and there were some skits that were cut out in the DVDs, but I still have the DVDs. And since it hasn't been streaming like anywhere recently, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm glad I have those DVDs because like I don't think that show's gonna stream or air on TV again.
I'll probably end it on this one because on 3 hours, I have about 19% on my phone. So, Space Invaders, that's a film I remember seeing a few times as a kid.
It's
It's more
there.
nostalgia than good for me.
I have no
Like,
nostalgia for it, so for me, it's just kind of
yeah,
there.
yeah, I can't defend it. I mean, I could has a little girl that would be in Tremors and then Jurassic Park.
Hmm.
I like some of the old school effects.
Yeah, I like the
Some of the
makeup
humor though is
effects.
pretty goofy, pretty silly, pretty
I mean, it's definitely
cringe
better
humor at times.
than I would say some 90s comedies, like Rocket
Yeah,
Man with Harlan Ellison or
Williams.
Williams, sorry, Harlan Williams. I don't know who that is.
Isn't
But
Harley Ellison like a writer or something?
yeah, he is actually. Harlan Ellison's the guy who wrote some Twilight Zone. So, um, but yeah, Harlan Williams. Some of the later Ernest films had kind of similar humor, which is not really as good as some of the other stuff.
Like Sam Dunk Ernest and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think that was
I could watch
Touchstone as
Space
well.
Invaders.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could watch it. It's not like a favorite of mine. It's not
it's
like an
definitely a lot more
underrated
watchable when
classic.
it comes to Martians than fucking Martians Go Home with Randy Quaid. You want to talk about a
Exactly.
bad Martians movie?
But with that said, I want to thank Mike for taking this time of 3 hours. I know it's pretty late, so thank
No
you so much for
problem.
that. Joy as
Yeah.
always. Thank you, people in the chat, for being generous and hanging out and taking your time from life and everything. And uh, Mike is doing John Carpenter and vacation movies on his channel,
Mm-hmm.
among others. Feel free to check
Mm-hmm.
out OCP Communications. He's uploading
If you wanna see more of
vacation.
my thoughts on cancel culture, I'm gonna do a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown of it for the next rant, which will be up in like the next couple days. I just need to sit down and record it. I've been doing a little bit extra research for it. Um, it's crazy the amount of films that Harvey Weinstein was associated with as a producer. Like, if you're gonna cancel all this other stuff, like, well, then I guess you got to cancel everything that Harvey Weinstein produced. So I guess there's no Pulp Fiction, there's no Reservoir Dogs, there's no slew of countless other movies if you're gonna go down that road.
Yeah, exactly. And as for me, I have more requests I'll be getting to tomorrow. Late tonight, tomorrow, I'll be uploading my thoughts on, and I just as the computer tell me, make sure to remember and tell them. Uh, Tales from the Hood commentary, which is a fun movie. Killer Clowns from Outer Space commentary. Apt Pupil, and
Yeah, I
more will be
like
coming
Tales from
down
the
the
Hood.
pipeline.
The sequels, not so much. Not at all.
No. Yeah, there'd be no Clerks without, because that company released Clerks, Weinstein,
Those are
that
gonna
stuff.
be Clerks films, and the Jane Silent Bob films are gonna be in the future as well for me. Elvis, the John Carpenter one, and the newer one that came out last year that Austin Butler got nominated for an Oscar for. And speaking of Oscars, Brandon Fraser did get that nomination. He did get nominated for The Whale, and that's crazy. It's so crazy to see where Brendan Fraser started, in films like Encino Man, and then to see him, as an Oscar-nominated actor. And I think that's great. I think, it just shows
That's cool.
you his dedication as an actor. It shows, his passion for the craft, and it shows that, you know, he had that ability. And I think he kind of had a little bit of that, serious ability to be a serious actor, but he got typecast. He got typecast as a funny guy, as a
And yeah, for
goofball.
me, while I don't care about the Oscars, I think a lot of it's full of it. I'm just glad that it'll make him happy because he seems like a good guy, seems like a good dude,
I mean, he even
and
showed up just out of the blue. He wasn't paid for this appearance, if I remember correctly. There was a screening of The Mummy at a
I heard
British
about that. Yeah.
theater, and he just showed up and surprised the fans and everybody in attendance, and didn't. There was no like, oh, got to pay me to do whatever. He just decided to show up.
Uh, Preminator, no live commentaries because the last time I did that, the person they didn't get upset, but they're like, could you not do that anymore? I don't think the request they don't really want live commentaries. I think because they talk more to the chat than about the film.
Hmm.
So unless someone specifically says, then no. But uh, maybe one day, like Mike and I, because I'm in the mood, like watching, like maybe I was talking to like the guys at Dead Pit, like we'll watch a
Hmm.
Royal Rumble. Maybe me and Mike one day will watch like a different older Royal Rumble or
That'd be
something like
fun.
that, or
That would
something.
be
It
fun.
depends.
Yeah, I would be
Maybe
up for
like Mike
that.
can pick. Maybe it's like you can pick which one and like which
Yeah.
one. We'll see. It's just a schedule and everything in between. I know
Hmm.
Mike's very busy. I'm very busy, so
Well, I'm definitely gonna be busy next
plans are
week.
open.
Like, I wanted to get this stream in because I don't think I'll have the energy, let alone have the time next week with my work schedule to
Exactly.
do a stream. But yeah, thanks for having me as usual. Thanks for
Thank
everyone
you.
for, joining us.
And we will see you guys down the road. Take care. Thank you, Preminator, and everyone out there, and be safe
See ya.
later. See you.